Long way, get this shit a long way, this shit a long way. Long way, hit it long way, 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 shit long way, long shit long way, long way, long way, long way, long way, long way, shit a long way. Gotta get the shit a long way, get the shit a long way, finish rich, yeah. Gotta get the shit a long way, get the shit a long. She don't really understand, man. Gotta know what she don't really understand, man. Gotta get a meal, but she don't understand. She be tripping every day, she be tripping every way. But I gotta get this shit a long way, yeah. Tryna get money every single way, tryna get money every single day, yeah. Get money every single way, every day. Every day we gotta get paid, yeah. Every day we gotta get paid, yeah. I'm feeling like we be the new slaves. No, we gotta finish rich. No, we gotta finish rich. Got a new bitch, she don't understand rich. She don't understand niggas gotta get rich. She don't understand sometimes we got hit lit. No, we ain't hit lit. Tryna get the long way, yeah. Tryna get the shit the long way, yeah. Coach is tryna wrap up a entree, yeah. Told you the other day that did my palm strong. We gon' shoot the long way, we gon' get the long way, yeah. Yeah, get the shit the long way. My bitch be trippin' back and forth like a palm way. My name is Tari, I ain't playing games, so I'm done Tari. Yesterday she told me that she bout to leave, man. Said fuck it, bitch, we gon' get some money. Said fuck it, bitch, I'm about to get some money. So what I do today, I want to get some money, yeah. Cause we gon' get the shit the long way, we gon' get shit the long way, yeah. Back and forth like the palm way, yeah. Man, I'ma get the shit the long way, get the shit the long way. Just the only way today, because they go with shit's crazy. We gotta wear a mask, we the new slaves, and we be wearing this shit like every day. We be okay, we gon' be okay, they gon' be okay, they gon' be okay, for yeah. So we gon' get the shit the long way, we gon' get the shit long way, we gon' get the shit the long way, we gon' get the shit the long way, yeah, we get the shit the long way, yeah, cause we gon' be okay, we gon' be okay, yeah, we gon' get the long way, yeah.
What's up, everybody? Sorry about that. I was still on mute. Didn't know I was. Anyway, welcome. What's up, QJC, mister? How you guys doing today? Early birds. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. Anyway, hello. My name is, if you're new to the channel, my name is LJ Young, the founder of SMD. And what I do is help people own themselves. And how do I do that? By showing them they do not. I show people they do not own. I help people own themselves by showing them, mathematically showing them that they do not own themselves. All right. And how you probably thinking, well, how do I do that? I do that with my gift. What is my gift? I understand that capitalism is 3 parts to me. All right. This is just me. Capitalism is psychological, positive, and negative. That's exactly what it is. And it is because math, that's what math says it is. Okay. And math is never wrong. So that's what it is. All right. Anyway, I use this gift to share with, because I can, with this new gift, I can understand that how it really works. Right. I understand how it works because I am on the positive side of the economy. Okay. And the reason why it's broken up in 3 parts, let me not skip over parts so you can understand. So I want you guys to follow along. All right. This is how it works. The reason why it's psychological, positive, and negative. All right. So millions of people, like the word homeowner, okay? Millions of people believe they bought a house with a mortgage, all right? But if you look at the word homeowner is positive and negative. But it counts on the positivity and the negativity of the word homeowner counts on the person using the word homeowner. So homeowner, positive, negative. So negative, homeowner with a mortgage is on the negative side. Homeowner with no mortgage is on the positive side. So if you hear a person call themselves a homeowner, you turn to them and say, do you have a mortgage? If they say yes, they're telling you from the negative side of homeowner. If you ask the person, are you a homeowner? Yes. Do you have a mortgage? No. That's a homeowner on the positive side, which in reality, that's the only way you can own a home is with no mortgage. You cannot buy a house with a mortgage. What's the psychological part? Debt slaves, the people in debt slaves, they are on the negative side of the economy because they believe they own houses with mortgages. And the psychological part is they don't know that they're doing that. They don't know you can't buy a house with a mortgage, yet they believe they are. They believe they own equity. They believe they own equity in a mortgaged house when that's 100% mathematically impossible to own equity in a mortgaged house. The psychological part is that they don't know that. They don't know that they live on the negative side of the economy, and that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it works. With understanding this, I understand that currency, physical or digital, it really doesn't matter. Currency is debt slaves. So currency is whatever debt slaves believe it is. But we know it's them from the positive side of the economy. They don't know that they are the money, they are the dollars, they are the gold, they are the silver, blah, blah, whatever, the cryptocurrency, stocks, insurance policies, everything you can name of is debt slaves. It doesn't matter what they believe or whatever, it's irrelevant. For the people that hear me, this is what I do. I bring them to the positive side of the economy where you can see everything the way it would, like, for example, when you're on the negative side of the economy, debt slaves hate taxes, commit tax evasion, avoid filing taxes, blah, blah, blah. That's on the negative side because they're cheating. If you're a person right now and you're cheating, you're committing tax evasion right now, you're not paying your taxes, you're not filing taxes, that's called cheating. People that cheat either don't understand the rules or they don't want to. They don't really care. That's both of those are irrelevant because it's against the law. If you're cheating, that means you don't understand them. That's why you're cheating. When you come to the positive side of it and you look at taxes, I know taxes are debt slaves. So cheating on my taxes would be cheating on myself. Hold on for a quick second. Cheating on my taxes would be cheating on myself. And if you're cheating on yourself, you're financially hurting yourself, period. What's up, Kang Goody? What's up? What's that? The rarest jewel? Oh, you changed your name. What's going on? Hello. So I help people come to the positive side of it where you can see everything for what it is and participate in our economy correctly. Pay your taxes on time. You don't commit tax evasion. You don't walk around talking about taxes are bad and evil and they're holding people back and this and that. That's all debt slave talk. That means they don't understand how they work because taxes are you, debt slaves. That's why you're talking like if you're a person that's wrapping your feelings up in taxes, that means you don't understand taxes because taxes are a thing. If your feelings are involved, your feelings are involved in a thing. That's like looking at your laptop and getting mad at it because it's not starting up, so you start crying about it. Oh my God, my laptop's not starting, and then you start crying and getting angry and calling your friends and saying, "Guess what, girl? My laptop." See how stupid that sounds? That's the same thing when you complain about taxes and you're around people that understand that are on the positive side of the economy, we instantly know that you don't understand taxes because you're emotional. What are you emotional about a thing for? If you're emotional, that means you're not doing it right because something's happening. So I help people own themselves by first starting with their credit report. We go there first. Those are your papers. Your credit reports are your papers, debt slaves. It doesn't matter what you believe. I'm not here to convince debt slaves of anything. I want to make sure that is clear. I am not here to convince debt slaves of mathematics. Math has been here before I was born. It'll be here well after I'm dead. I'm just here to show you something. That's it. Just to show you if you believe it or not. Because put it this way, debt slaves. Okay. Let's go back to the psychological part of capitalism. Debt slaves, you guys live on the negative side of the economy and you don't know it. That's the psychological part. So the majority of the information that you see on the internet or you Google, that's just a whole bunch of debt slaves sharing information, telling each other what's the best way to buy a house, what's the best interest rate for a car, what's the best interest rate for this. If you bought stuff, you wouldn't care about interest rate because you're buying it. Interest rates are irrelevant unless it's your business. If I'm loaning money at an interest rate, then I look at interest rates. Then I'm concerned with the interest rate. But if I'm not in the money loaning business, I don't really care about interest rates. That's irrelevant to me. But you guys are just sharing information. It doesn't matter which browser you choose to use, Google, the other Firefox. It doesn't matter. You guys are all in there sharing information about debt stuff. And that's what you're supposed to do. Google's supposed to share it with all you guys and all that stuff. That's what it's supposed to do. It's just doing what it does. But once you come to the positive side of it, you see it for what it is. I understand that the majority of the internet and its information is from debt slaves. It's from you guys. I understand that. What I do is, this is the part I'm trying to figure out. How do I reach the people that are wandering around in the debt matrix like I was? So I got to keep going back. The only way I can do is just use myself. So when I was in the debt matrix, I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I just could not figure it out. I was like, something's just not right. They say get your college degree. People turn to the streets. It's the government's fault. It was the way I was raised. It was where I was born. It was where there's so many things to pick from, and you just going to choose one. What best fits for you? None of that has anything to do with math, the color of your skin, where you were born, if you're a man or a woman, gay, straight. Math doesn't care about any of that. Math could care less about how you were raised. If you were Jewish or Christian or whatever, hey, many things. Math doesn't know about any of that. It doesn't know there's a difference of anything because 1 + 1 = 2. No matter who says it, no matter if you're 5, 50, 100, 99, 80, it's still 2. So I was walking around in the debt matrix. I'm like, okay, what's up? And I specifically remember this. I said to myself, and call it what you want. I don't really understand. I didn't really get, but I know it activated something. I remember coming home from work one day, okay, doing my normal routine, going from work to the gym, and then from the gym, stay at the gym about an hour or two. Some working out, some just looking around the gym. The majority of it just wasting time, looking to see what women are there. It's the dumbest shit, right? Anyway, and then I leave, go home, and start the thing over on Monday, and then repeat the process Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then one day I came to work. It was daylight savings time. I still remember it. And it was getting dark very early. And I pulled into the gym parking lot. It was like, and I lived in Seattle, Washington at the time. It was like 4:30, and it was getting dark. And I remember specifically looking up at the LA Fitness sign glowing in the dark. And I said to myself, I'm in the car by myself, and I'm speaking out loud too, by the way. And I said to myself, I'm going to do this until I retire. I'm going to get up at 6, whatever time it was that I got up, get dressed, shower, blah, 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 get in the car, get in the traffic, get to work, go get in traffic to go to a place that I didn't really want to go to and repeat the process for the rest of my life until I retire. I said, no way. There is no way that is possible. No way that life is like that. No. Now, did I have the answer on how to get out of it? No, I didn't. But I was saying it out loud. If somebody had walked by my car and saw me talking, they would have thought I was crazy talking to myself in the car. But I was talking to myself. I said, no way. I don't accept that. I said, I don't accept that. There's no way I could just get up, repeat the process, get in the traffic I hate. If I leave 5-10 minutes too late, I know I'm going to be stuck in traffic. This shit is subconsciously was memorized in my brain. I knew which light was going to take the longest. If I didn't leave 5 minutes before, I knew it was going to be a long line of traffic. I knew the potholes subconsciously. I knew the void. It was all automatic. I said, I'm not doing that for the rest of my life. Hell no. Did I know what I was going to do? No. Making 6 figures, deep in debt, thought since all of the stuff, listen, everything I was making payments on, I didn't know this at the time. Everything I'm making payments on should have been a red flag to tell me all of that was not mine because I was making payments on it. But no, nothing went off in my head. It still didn't. Ding, 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 nothing. Until one day I was just like, hey, I don't want to do this. And then I just left it. I didn't know what I was going to do, how to get out of that loop, because I didn't know I was a debt slave living on the negative side of the economy. I didn't know that. Because when I was in it, looking on the internet, everybody's like, hey, you got to make 6 figures. You got to get into real estate. You got to make some residual income, cash flow. You know, you hear all these terms. You don't know which one to grasp for. All you got to do is, what kind of stuff do they have? Do they got a nice car, Rolls Royce? Do they got space on the ceiling and all this other stupid nonsense? You don't know. Is Grant Cardone telling me the truth? What about Robert Kiyosaki? You don't know any of which way to go. You could just go buy their stuff. They look successful, so let me just buy their program. You don't even know nothing. You know who woke me up? The banks woke me up. The banks woke me up to wake up out of the debt matrix. They did it. And this is how they did it. All my life, I was following the debt matrix program. What successes look like: 6-figure, college educated, car, house, blah, blah, blah. You just think that's what the internet says. So you just believe it. Till one day I went to go try to get another loan. Now, mind you, I've never been turned down for a loan from a bank because I followed the rules by keeping my credit good. Till one day they told me no, they denied me. They said, sorry, Mr. Young, your debt to income ratio is too high. I was like, huh? What is that? What is debt to income ratio? So I started doing research on it. It says, hey, I'm going to just summarize it for you. It says you make a little bit of money, but you're in a lot of debt. Okay. That's the summarization of debt to income ratio. I was like, huh? But this is what woke me up. Wait a minute. I have good credit, never missed a payment. Job history is good. I make 6 figures. Wait a minute. I followed all the rules, but this time you're denying me. That didn't make sense. A light went off in my head. Wait a minute. Something's wrong here. You told me, the bank, I'm saying, the bank told me if I do this, I will always get loans and get stuff at cheaper interest rates and all this other stuff. But this time they're saying no, even though I followed all the rules. I knew something was wrong. Wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. Now, I'm a computer engineer where math counts. When you start adding up megabytes and gigabytes, you have to follow the rules. 512, 1024. You can't just be like 512, 910. You can't make up, then it's not going to work. That's if you do a subnet mask. Hey, I like this subnet mask. It's not going to work. So math counts. You cannot make up numbers. So I said, okay, something doesn't make sense. So I started doing more research on debt to income ratio. And as I'm typing in debt in Google, I came across Dave Ramsey. Now, these are just quick summarizations so I can just get to the point. Dave says, take a calculator. This is a summarization. Dave doesn't say this. I'm just summarizing it. Dave says, take a calculator and my baby steps and get out of debt. I said to myself, that's easy enough. I don't really need to buy any of Dave's programs. That's pretty simple. Take the calculator and his baby steps and get out of debt. And that's exactly what I did. And I was free. As soon as I got to zero, check this out. So as soon as I got to zero, this is how it connects to where I'm at today. As soon as I got to zero, I'm looking at his baby steps. He's like, hey, when you get down to your mortgage, you pay off all your debt, get down to your mortgage, start putting away 15% into retirement. I was like, uh-oh, wait a minute. Something's wrong. I use the calculator. I follow the calculator all the way up till I get out of debt. But then when I pay off all my debt and get down to my mortgage, I stop using the calculator, because according to the calculator, if I have a mortgage, I'm still in debt according to the calculator. But so that means I don't have 15% to save anywhere because I'm still in debt with a mortgage. I said, uh-oh, that's a discrepancy. Time for me to get off the Dave train. That's called business. Hey, listen, I want to make sure it's nothing wrong what he's doing. That's called business. That's just, he's just no longer talking to me. I want you guys to understand that. Nothing's wrong with what he's doing, sending people to some investor pros to invest while having a mortgage. That's called business. That's totally up to you. If you want to just no longer count the calculator anymore and go that route, you just go that route. It's not a big deal. But that means Dave is no longer talking to me, because I know what he's saying is not mathematically true. That's where I leave. Then I realized, well, how many people follow him that believe they can do that? That's a lot of people. Those people obviously don't know capitalism is psychological, so they remain on the negative side, believing that they can invest in retirement while having a mortgage, when you cannot do that. So I branch off. I'm like, whoa, I'm discovering more and more. What the heck? Then you feel so good, you want to tell all your friends. This is what I did. I wanted to tell my friends and family, hey, check this out, man. I'm getting out of debt, man. There's so much freedom, bloggity, blah, blah, blah. They don't want to hear. You know why they can't hear? Because it's psychological. They don't know that they're debt slaves living on the negative side of the economy. That's how it's supposed to be. You don't have to be there. You can choose not to be on it. I didn't know that. These are things after the fact that I'm telling you guys. You don't have, it's a choice. That's the wonderful thing about this gift. Debt slaves can't hear me. Now, you guys hear me talking on the mic right now. I'm gonna bring you to the positive side, okay? If you're in debt and you want to, I'm gonna give you a view of the positive side of the economy while being in debt, okay? You can't come here until you own yourself, but I can show you. So we're gonna come to the positive side of the economy, okay? Millions of debt slaves, they don't know that they don't know that they're not homeowners because they have mortgages, but they don't know that. That's how it's supposed to be. Why? Because the housing market wouldn't exist if they knew that. If they knew they were not homeowners, the housing market wouldn't exist. So they're supposed to be there. Now, that's a choice. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't care how the banks do it, whatever. Banks make them believe whatever they want to believe. But you got to understand, nothing exists without the banks, nothing. Debt slaves have no money because they are the money. If debt slaves want a house, car, a phone, they have to ask the bank first. Do you understand me? They can't just walk out and buy a house. They have no money. They can't walk on a car lot and buy a brand new car. They have no money. They have to ask permission from the bank. Don't you get that? That's why insurance is required by law. Why? Because you guys have no money to buy insurance. That they didn't make you do it. You guys don't have no money to buy the car. So that means you guys ain't gonna have no money to fix it if you crash it. So of course they got to require by law, because if they didn't, you guys wouldn't get it. You guys would just go finance a car and drive around with no insurance. Why? Because you didn't have no money to buy the car in the first place. On the positive side, that's what they're supposed to do. It doesn't matter if a car is gas or electric. We're still on the positive side. I want you guys to understand this so you can create a business. It doesn't matter if a car is gas or electric. It doesn't matter. They don't have the money to buy it. Here, let me give you an example we're gonna look at the positive side of the economy for all the electric car owners, okay? If you financed an electric car, you're not saving money on gas. You're not saving money on anything because you didn't have the money to buy the electric car. But that's irrelevant to us because you're making us money. This is what electric car owners that are in debt don't know that they're doing. They're selling their time for an electric car. Debt slaves will have no problem sitting at an electric charging station for 45 minutes. Some of them do it for longer than that. Throwing away the time in their life, looking at a phone at a charging station on a financed electric car. Now, if you check this out, now you can do this to a debt slave. Maybe they'll get it or maybe they won't. You got to go up to an electric car, a person that owns an electric car but is financed. You go up to them and say this: would you, if you had your gas car, would you sit at a gas pump for 45 minutes to fill your car? They'll look at you like you're bananas. Hell no, I wouldn't do that. But then you turn to them and say, but you'll do it for an electric car? Now, this is what's called a glitch in the debt matrix, okay? They don't know. And let's go over the steps one more time because I want you to see, and this is very important, okay? I want you to focus on their face when they have this reaction. This is called a glitch in the debt matrix. You go up to an electric car owner who owns a financed electric car. Ask them how long they sit at. What's the longest they've sit at? You know, they love to brag on how long they sat at an electric charging station for some unknown reason, right? So you say, what's the longest you've sat at an electric charging station to charge your car, including waiting in line to even get to the charging station? Okay, make sure they add the biggest one, and then you turn to them and say, would you wait that long at a gas pump? If the gas place was, if the gas station was selling gas for 50 cents a gallon, but they said it was going to take you an hour to fill your car, would you do it? They're gonna be like, no. Like, why are you asking that question? They're gonna think it's a weird question. Then you turn to them and say, then why would you do it for an electric car? Look at their face. It's going to be the glitch in the debt matrix because they're not going to know the answer for that because they don't know that. They don't know that they're throwing away the time in their life. The most valuable thing on earth is the time in your life, and they're sitting in a fucking electric car charging their car. Are you crazy? Oh, it's going to take me like an hour to charge. You're going to sit in a car for an hour in a financed electric car? When you're on the positive side of the economy and you see say like you have a paid off older car, and you may have some friends or family members that drive up in a financed better car. Then they come out and look down on your car. Oh man, yeah, I got this picked up because debt slaves love to brag on the price of the vehicle like they pay cash for it. Oh yeah, man, this car's like $70,000. You didn't pay $70,000 for that car. That's why you're making payments. The psychological part is that they don't know that. They really believe that they paid $70,000 for the car. You can even ask them when they tell you the full price of the car. Ask them, are you making payments? They're going to say yes. And then I just want you to sit back and I want you to breathe in their response because I want you to understand that they can't. If they're saying that, listen, if a debt slave tells you the full price of a car and they're making payments and then they tell you they're making payments, that tells you they don't know. because they just told you something that they don't, that's mathematically incorrect, and they don't know that's the psychological part, and that's how it's supposed to be. They don't know that you cannot invest in retirement plans while having student loan debt. That's the psychological part. If they're in, like, you go like this. You hear somebody talk about oh man, you invest in before after tax 401k, you could save money on taxes and blah blah blah. And then you turn to them and say, "Do you have student loan debt?" If they say yes, they are everything that they're talking about. They are the 401k before and after tax. They are the stocks and the bonds that they're talking. It's them. You can't have student loan debt older than your retirement plan. That's impossible. You can't do that. They don't know that. That makes them the retirement plan. That makes them the insurance policy. You hear all these people talking about, hey, get this insurance policy and then you can borrow from it. You can't do any of that. Who told you that? Who told you can borrow from an insurance policy while being in debt? You can't do that. Who told you that? They don't know that. That makes them the insurance policy. You come to the positive side. You create a successful business based on them not knowing. They live on the negative side of the economy. Like, here's another thing. Here are everybody talking about bank collapsing and all this other stuff. You got to say to yourself, who is talking about it? Anybody you hear talking about the banks are collapsing and this and that, you got to stop and say, who is giving me this information? Is it somebody with a mortgage? Is it somebody begging for student loan forgiveness? Is it somebody making car payments? Is it somebody that's financing the cell phone that they're using to make the video telling you about how the banks are collapsing? Is it that? If it is, that's somebody telling you information from the negative side of the economy. You don't really care about that. I wouldn't take information. Listen, do you know how many finance professionals out there selling and giving financial information with student loan debt? With student loan debt older than their business. You don't take financial information from a person with student loan debt older than their financial business. You don't do that. That means they're selling you, giving you financial information from the negative side of the economy. Now remember, I'm not saying what they're selling you is incorrect. If it follows all the laws and the rules, that's fine. I don't really care. But I'm saying this for you. If they're selling you information and they don't even know, they don't own themselves, you're getting your information from the wrong person. Put it this way, if you are a person that makes good money right now and you don't know that capitalism is psychological, positive and negative, you're missing a major piece. Here, let me tell you the difference between knowing this and not knowing this. You look at an NBA player and see how much money let's go with LeBron James. You look how much LeBron James makes, and you're like, wow, he makes a lot of money. The NBA he's making a lot of money. Then when you come to the positive side of the economy, understanding that capitalism is psychological, positive and negative, you say, well, who's the person paying LeBron James? That's the person you're looking to be. The owner of the team, not the employee. That goes for football. The owners. You're like, hey, Mahomes makes $500 million. Wow, that's a lot of money. No, obviously that's not, because he's an employee. That's how you look. That's how I look at it from the positive side of the economy. Mahomes is an employee. Yeah, that's a lot of money, but that tells me how much the owner's making if he can pay one player that much money. What's that tell me? I want to be an owner. I'd rather make more money with less damage on my body. The crowd, like go for football. The crowd, listen, the crowd gets pleasure off of people getting hurt in football, breaking legs, twisting foot back around. Oh my God, that was a hit. He took his head off. I'd rather be an owner. When I come, now that I'm on the positive side of the economy, I understand my body is my space suit. Earth is the space, my body is the suit. I need this to walk around on. I can't walk around on Earth without this body. Like when football players retire, people don't really think about them no more. Wouldn't it be interesting to go back and see how their bodies are? How are they functioning? All the money in the world can't help them with that. I'd rather be an owner. Now you're probably thinking NFL owner, that's impossible. You're already putting limits on your brain when you do stuff like that. Wait a minute. Those people, the owners of the football teams right now, do you know they're human beings? They're not special. They're not it. No. You know what they know why they're owners? Because they knew it was possible. All you got to do is make it up in your mind. You want to be an NFL team owner? All you got to do is make up in your mind and you can be one. When you come to the positive side of the economy, there are no limits. The only limits there are the one you set on yourself. But when you come to this side and understand the psych, you got to accept that the majority, they can't see the psychological part. That's going to be rough within itself. You have to accept that. You're going to see your, like here, I have to accept my loved ones are debt slaves and I can't do anything about it because they can't see that capitalism is psychological. Can't see it. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care who you are. The choice is yours. You either believe the calculator or you don't. When you like when I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, LJ, your perspective, your theory," it's like, why are you saying? Well, I don't say that no more. I know why they're saying it because it's psychological. They don't know that I'm talking about just mathematics. I'm just talking about simple arithmetic. You know how many discussions I've had with people with mortgages that believe they're homeowners? I'm like, hey, just open up the calculator, put in your mortgage payment minus your mortgage balance, and you'll see. They never do it. Oh, that's not it. That's not true. What about the value and the time? It's like you didn't have the money to buy it in the first place, so that doesn't count. That only counts for the person who bought the house, which is the bank. I understand that when the positive side of the economy, I understand the banks control everything. That's not a trick. It's nothing. I'm not mad about it. Whatever. I was born here. It says, okay, these are the rules. These are the financial laws. These are the tax laws. This is what you do. This is what you don't do. If you do, you commit tax evasion, we're going to take the most valuable thing on earth, which is the time in your life. They're going to put you in prison. That should be a red flag why you don't do certain things. If they're going to take the money doesn't come above the time in your life. So if they say, hey, you can go to prison for tax evasion, you can say, well, why there? Like if this is debt slave. This is how you got to think. Okay, that's how I want you to think. So you could understand you're on the wrong side of the economy. You're on the negative side. When you see somebody go to prison for 10, 15 years for tax evasion, they didn't hurt nobody, they didn't kill nobody, nothing, but they go to prison for that long. You say to yourself, how come I don't go away to prison for 15 years for a ticket, a speeding ticket? I didn't hurt nobody, I didn't kill nobody. It's pretty much the same thing, right? No, it's not. It's up to you to figure out why that is. There's a reason Why you go to prison for tax evasion. If you want to take the time to understand it, that's totally up to you. If you don't, there's a place for you too. If you don't understand them, you don't want to play by the laws, there's a place they're going to put you away, and then they're going to use you in prison. You still participate. Now you're going to be used for your manual labor for pennies. Like literal slavery caused by yourself. Literally. They don't even have to hide it anymore. Oh, you're going to do this work and we're going to pay you $1 a month. That's slavery. But since you put yourself there, that's hey, whatever. Now, thank God, nobody showed me this. Nobody told me this. Thank God I woke up myself. But I had to be alone to get here. This wasn't free. You have to earn this. To understand that capitalism is positive and negative, you have to earn it. There's no school for it that I know of. Well, let me take that back. Let me make sure this is clear. I didn't invent this. I discovered it. So that means somebody else made it. Okay. So of course there's school for it, but they're not publicly advertised because first you got to understand it. Your parents have to understand it. Your grandparents have to understand it. It has to be understood. This is passed down through generations. Like when I look at, put it this way, when I look at the UK, the palace in the UK, I understand that they know clearly. Look at the building. They clearly understand that capitalism is psychological, positive, and negative, clearly. That's clear. Okay. Now when I see stuff like that, I'll see mansions or huge whatever, right? That's clear to me. That's a statement that says we know, obviously. You see a $500,000 Ferrari, you can look at it two ways. You could say, damn, that's the price of a house, or you could say that's the price of a car. The decision is yours. You could look and say, oh, well, $500,000 Ferrari. You could say, a debt slave is going to say, that's the price of a house. That's the price of a house for you because you said it out loud. So that's what you're telling yourself, your subconscious. That's the price of a house. Well, that's a choice. You come to the positive side of it, create a successful business. You look at it and say, that's the price of a car, or else Ferrari wouldn't make it. Would you be a car manufacturer and create a car that nobody can afford? You wouldn't be in business. You can either say, imagine this, $500,000 is the price of a car for some people. How do you get there? How do you get there? Which way is the road? Not even saying that you really want to buy a 500,000. I'm just saying if you wanted to, you could. That's all I'm saying. You want to be able to look at the price of a $500,000 Ferrari and say, wow, that's a nice car. Because if you put it this way, debt slaves, okay? Because everything is you. The person that can buy the $500,000 Ferrari, you know why they can buy it? Because you're paying for it. It's you, debt slaves. You think somebody that could buy that car is really spending their own money? No, they're buying it because of you. You paid for a Ferrari. You paid for a $500,000 Ferrari for the person. Now you can either get upset about it or you can come to the positive side and be just like them. It's nothing personal. It's a choice. When I bring a person to the positive side and get them to zero first, and then they realize what it means to be at zero. Zero means you own yourself. That's what it means. Zero means you freed yourself. You're free. Zero means you are, listen, I want you to listen to me closely. You can believe it or not. Zero means you are now instantly financially ahead of millions of people in the United States of America. Instantly. It doesn't matter what they have. If they're making payments on it, it doesn't matter. You know what else that means? You start from zero, you start stacking your bread. Guess what that means? Everything you see that debt slaves are making payments on is available because they don't own it. All it takes is one hiccup in the economy and it's gone. And guess who's going to be there to get it? People on the positive side of the economy with what? Money. The only way to buy anything. Being on the put it this way, being on the positive side of the economy, you know what I'm waiting for? Student loan payments to resume. Guess what's going to happen? You guys are going to lose all your shit that you financed during the pause. Listen, this is the obvious. Okay, I'm just stating the obvious. You could believe it or not. It's totally up to you. I don't really care. But I'm just waiting for student loan payments to resume because you guys are going to lose everything you financed during the pause, thinking you had extra money. All the YouTube videos that have been telling you what to do with your extra money when you had none. Just because you're not making student loan payments don't mean you have extra money. It just means you're not making payments. And when they resume, I just imagine how many cars are going to be repossessed. Shit. It's going to be bananas. Buy now, pay later businesses, they're going to be in trouble. Why? Because they're going to be the first one to not get paid. Believe that. Like buy now, pay later. This is so you guys can understand how it works. Buy now, pay later businesses are killing the game because student loan payments are on pause. Do you understand it? That's why they're making billions of dollars. But when the student loan payments resume, they're out of here, buddy. They're out of here. That income stops. Why? Because the government gets their money first. Believe that. Snatching tax returns, all that. Buy now, pay later businesses. I hope you, hey, listen, if you've invested in these, first of all, I'm no financial advisor. This is just strictly my opinion as a regular person with no licenses in anything. If I would, let me just use myself. If I was investing in buy now, pay later businesses, which would be smart, buy now, pay later businesses, I'd be cashing in, cha-ching, cha-ching, because you guys are in trouble, debt slaves financing a shirt. That means you're in trouble. I'm just waiting for the president to say, hey, the student loan payments resume. I'm pulling all my money out. Pull immediately. Why? Because they are going to be the first people not to get paid first. If you are a bomb-ass collection agent or you want to start a collection agent business, now is the time. Because guess where all those payments of buy now, pay later services, they're all going in collections. Better start you up a collection business because it's going to be fucking booming. I mean, I personally couldn't do it, track down debt slaves and all this stuff, make them pay for this shit. I couldn't do it. But if this might be your thing. If you're a tow truck driver and you love repossessing cars, you better ramp up, start your own business, buy some trucks. This is the only time I would tell you to, but this is business debt. If you had to, finance you some trucks, some nice trucks, the ones you can scoop up a car really quick so you don't have to get out and stuff like that. Buy you some nice trucks. They're going to pay for themselves for years to come. Cars about to be repossessed. And anything else. Is that you? Is that you nervous about student loan payments resuming? You financed that house, didn't you? Huh? Why? Because the student loan payments wasn't on your credit report, so your credit score went up. That's all part of the plan, debt slave, so you can finance a house. Just because you don't see it on your credit report or it's showing all zeros, the only person that needs to know it's there is you, not them. You. I promise you, they're not going to forget that you owe student loan debt. They're not. They removed it. It changes your debt to income ratio for the better. Now you're approved for a car, a house, whatever you're trying to do. And then guess what happens when student loan payments resume? Now you're in deeper debt than before the pause. Deeper, way deeper. You didn't have a house before the pause. You wasn't $300,000, $400,000 in debt before the pause, but now you are with the student loan debt back on top of that. Welcome, debt slave, to the negative side of the economy. If you're begging for student loan forgiveness and you're reading stuff about banks collapsing, you need to stop reading about banks collapsing because that has nothing to do with you. That is not your concern. If your student loan debt is your oldest debt out of all your debts, don't worry about the bank's collapse. Don't worry about the bank in Silicon Valley. Don't worry what happened, whatever. Oh, they got bailed out. The bailout is from you, debt slaves. You guys bailed banks out. You. Oh, the government bailed out. No, they didn't. You bailed them out, debt slaves, because you know what's inside Silicon Valley? Information of you guys, debt slave. It's not money. It's hard drives. Imagine, this is what you guys got to understand. Imagine where they must keep credit card loan information. You think that's just come on, man. What kind of system keeps track of everybody's debt? You guys will never know that. That kind of technology, you guys don't know that. That type of information cannot be lost. It cannot. That's probably 5 miles under the sea in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere. You got to get there by a certain class submarine to get there. You're not going to accidentally come across it on your boat. I understand that. That's clear. That's crystal clear. When you come to the positive side of the economy, when I look at it, let me just tell you something. When I look at it, it's absolutely beautiful. It's amazing. Those of you guys that follow me, and some of you guys talk, some of you guys don't, I want you to understand how beautiful it is. See how I'm talking out in the open? They don't understand me. They don't hear me. Who knows what's running through a day? Oh, he's against the system. He's trying to, no, I'm not. I know, I always like to say this. I know where I live. I live in the United States of America, and these are the laws. You guys have patterns, debt slaves. You don't follow the rules. That's your pattern. You don't follow the laws. Listen. If I was put it this way, if I was an IRS agent with this knowledge, of course, I know that capitalism is psychological, but you know how easy it is for me to catch the most sophisticated financial debt slave that's breaking the laws. You know how easy that would be, because you guys watch a lot of TV, and you guys think you guys forget you're watching a TV show. Oh, shell companies, this and that, and blah blah blah. That's TV. You guys really literally forget that you are watching actors in a TV show. Oh, these guys really outsmarted. Do you guys believe the TV show? You guys think IRS agents are really that stupid? I mean, come on, man. If I was an agent, you guys wouldn't have a chance because I know capitalism is psychological. The first thing I'm gonna go to is your credit report. Like, say it like this, say it like it's you, right? And I'm an IRS agent and I was assigned to you because some funny stuff is going on or whatever, right? Now remember, they have access to everything. Okay. I just want you guys to clearly understand that. You can believe it or not. I don't really care because that's how it works. They have access to everything. Okay. The first place I'm going is to your credit reports. Your credit report is going to tell me if what has come across my desk is true. I'm going to look at your credit report because there's going to be a pattern there. How you treat the business of yourself. That's the first place I'm going. All three of them or four, how many where there is, right? I'm going to go there because trust me, they have access to that. Okay. I promise you. All right. Because it's not yours. You don't own your credit report. That's a privately owned business. Okay. No different than, put it this way, no different than like if you did some criminal activity across Facebook Messenger, they could just subpoena the records of Facebook because you don't own Facebook. You're just using their product. It's the same thing. Okay. I would just look and the pattern is going to show me. Would this person commit this crime or whatever it is, right? Something negative, whatever, against the law, whatever, right? Would this person be doing this? And I would look at your credit report and it would tell me if you would or would not be possibly doing that. Changing names, collections, owing taxes, multiple repossessions. Okay, that sounds like a pattern to me. I remember I came across this dude. He was asking what I did. I was like, "Oh yeah, man." He's like, "Yeah, I own some houses and this." And I was like, "Cool, man. Sound like you're on the right track. You got a more well, the house is really not. I mean, no, the personal house." He was like, "Yeah, the house is really not my name. It's in my friend's name." I was like, "Uh-oh, red flag. Why are you paying for something that's not in your name? There's a reason why you're not doing that. There's a reason." "Oh, I don't really want why? Why don't you want it in your name?" You got to explain that. That's a red flag. What's up, Anonymous? Nick? When you come to the positive side and you look at, like I said earlier, you look at search engines, 99% of the information returned is from you guys, debt slaves. Just you guys collective information, just sharing all the the majority of what you see is from the negative side of the economy. All you guys do it. If you type in Google how to buy a house, it's going to return how to finance a house. All you got to do is just type in Google how to buy a house, buy. Make sure you put BUY, buy a house, and then it's going to return how to finance one. You either say to yourself, "Oh, that's how you buy one," or you say, "Wait a minute, you didn't return what I wanted to see. I said buy. I didn't say finance." But if you believe buy equals finance, that's your problem. How do I buy a car? Google's gonna return how to finance a car. I didn't say finance. I said buy. But debt slaves believe buy means finance means buy. That's how it's supposed to be. When you come to the positive side of the economy, guess what? It wouldn't exist if debt slaves didn't finance cars. You guys see all these new cars and trucks coming out. Debt slaves have to ask the bank's permission to get any of those cars. When you see, like I saw the new electric Hummer, that thing's like $100,000. You think a debt slave has $100,000 to drop on a truck? No, they have to ask the bank's permission. You think car manufacturers really can charge whatever they listen? They make millions of cars. You think each of them cost that much? The much they sell? No. The car manufacturers has to go to the banks and say, "Hey, how much are you willing to loan for this car that we're making? How much are you willing to loan?" And then the bank says whatever they say, and then the car manufacturers charge the price because You guys can't buy a car without asking the bank's permission first. The bank's your daddy. If you can't buy a house without asking the bank first, because the bank's your daddy. That's why you got to ask daddy. You can call him daddy. You can call it whatever. Hey, whatever. You mortgage, daddy, whatever you want. Hey, whatever word is good for you. If you can't walk on the car lot and buy a car in cash without asking daddy first, because the bank's your daddy. That's why. It's nothing personal. Car loan, daddy, whatever. This is what a debt slave mentioned on Twitter post. He said he wishes all banks collapse so he doesn't have to pay. So he doesn't have to pay his debt. That boy think he'll get away from not paying. Ain't that? See how debt slaves just say that out loud in public to people? I wish all the banks could collapse. If all the banks collapse, there would be no economy. That would be bad. That's bad. When I look, and this is my personal view, okay? And when they talk about banks collapsing, I want you to tell you something. That's way above my pay grade. I'm not there yet. I don't really quite understand why that happened. I know what you guys see on Google and videos, but hey, listen, the only thing I can think of, maybe that bank maybe they didn't want to play by the bank rules. I don't know. Maybe they wasn't paying in their share because it costs money. They got to send money to the central bank and all this other stuff. Maybe they didn't follow the rules. I don't know. It's no different when you commit tax evasion. You commit tax evasion, they kick you out the game by locking you up in prison. You can't play. You got to get out. You're gonna play using your physical labor now. People say, "Oh man, they get to sit and we got to pay for them to be." Listen, they get to sit in jail and get 3 meals a day, electricity in prison. They're in prison. So what? I mean, when you hear people say that, you got to wait till they finish and look at them and say, "Why are you saying that? I don't get it. So what?" Yeah, they're locked up making $1 a month, working 40 hours a week. Oh, the prison, they're making money off of, yeah, I guess that's what happens. Newest Ford trucks, the basic model is now running 60 plus. Lots of debt slaves will take the bait. They sure will. You better believe car manufacturers and auto loan, car max places, they're nervous. Know why they're nervous? They're nervous when student loan payments resume. You guys understand, everybody gonna take a hit when those payments resume. People gonna not be able to make, if they're not, listen, if they're not making their car payments now while student loan payments are on pause, what do you think is gonna happen when they're no longer paused? What do you think is gonna happen? They won't be able to buy no cars. Nobody's gonna be making any payments. Car lots are nervous. You better believe they are sweating. They're sweating bullets right now, especially the car lot owners who are deep in debt that get loans on the cars that are on their parking lot. Did you guys know that? A lot of car lots, they finance their cars that are sitting on their lots. And when student loan payments resume, guess what? Those cars are not going to sell. They're not even going to come close to what they're asking for today. Not even close. They're gonna have to drop those car prices so far to get them financed, because the bank is not going to give a debt slave any money to get it. You guys got to understand that, right? The banks, it's up to the banks what they're going to pay for the car that they're selling. It's up to the banks. It's not up to the debt slave. When student loan payments resume, the banks already know that. Okay, they already know, because they know everybody's financial standing. How? By their credit reports. The banks already know where everybody is at financially today, right now, this second. It's absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful, man. I can't even explain how beautiful that is. That is beautiful. They already know everything. They already know. Like when you guys imagine being the person. That's what it's like being on the positive side. It really is. I don't really need to see your credit report because I know you're debt slaves. This is where we're at. All the stuff you guys see, the houses and cars and jewelry, they're making payments on that. And if they're making payments on it, guess what? They don't own it. None of it. Everything belongs to the bank. Even the majority of people's cell phones. If you're making payments on your phone, not the service, the actual phone, the bank bought that phone for you. The bank financed that phone for you. Now, the only reason why they could charge for that much for a phone is because you guys can't afford to buy it anyway. You guys are financing phones. So once you start financing phones, they could pretty much name a price on their phone, anything they want, because you're not paying for it. Same goes for cars. Same goes for everything. That's called business. I don't really care. Congratulations, Apple. What do you think the top 3 worst debt to have? Number 1 is tax debt. That's number 1. Number 2 is student loan debt. Number 3 is child support debt. All debts you can't get rid of. That's the top ones. anything you can't bankrupt, those are the top ones. Those there's nothing comes before non-bankruptable debt. Those are the top. Because I'm sure there's more. There's penalties, like if you do a crime and you get a penalty of a fine or whatever, restitution, you can't bankrupt the restitution, because what's the purpose of the punishment if you can bankrupt it? Because everybody would do it. Commit a crime, get restitution, go see a lawyer and bankrupt the restitution. That would defeat the purpose of putting on restitution to a person. Any non-bankruptable debt is the worst. Those are you can't lump RVs and boats with student loan debt, because student loan debt is non-bankruptable. RVs and boats are just stupid stuff debt slaves finance that they partially use. Can you imagine that? Debt slaves don't even know. Check this out. They will finance a boat, an RV. Now they work 40 plus hours a week. Okay. 40 plus hours a week, and they'll finance a boat or RV that they can only use during certain times of the year, only on days that they're not working. And they're making monthly payments and paying interest every single month of something that they barely use. That's going down in value so fast because they're worth nothing. Oh my God, it's just beautiful, man. You come to the positive side of the economy, create a quality product like Apple has. Apple has quality product. Amazon has quality service. Chick-fil-A has quality service. Now, when you come to the positive side, that's what you strive for. Those are your models. You don't model after somebody that keeps showing you a Rolls Royce or a big house or all this other stuff. You don't model after that. You model after people making money with quality service. Tesla. Those are just the ones you can see. Because if their service sucks, who cares how much money they're making if their service sucks? Why do debt slaves upgrade their phones every year? I don't get it. Just for a small camera. You got to understand, come to the positive side of the economy, Anonymous. Phones are a statement now. This is what Apple has changed it into. Not just Apple, but all phone manufacturers. Cell phones are statements. And debt slaves believe they got to keep up with the latest and greatest, and you got to remember, everybody has a cell phone cover, so you can't really tell. You could. I was like, what? And this is what I was thinking to myself too. I was thinking, what's the big deal of a different if it's a different model phone but the same size or whatever, right? Unless it's bigger, you can obviously tell. But if it's the same but different model and has a phone cover, who cares? You can't really tell. So somebody probably said the same thing. It says, hey, if we add cameras and make 3 or 4, that way, if they put a cover on it, and the next person with an iPhone sees that this person has additional cameras that they don't, they know that their phone is newer than that, and it's just a statement. So they keep financing. But you got to understand this too, Anonymous. The majority of people that finance phones, they cannot get out of financing phones. Now they're stuck in the finance phone loop. They're so deep underwater with Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, they have to do it. Now they can choose, you got to remember, they can choose not to upgrade their phone. But if they don't, they know all their friends will say, why are you walking around with that old phone? Other people that are financing phones. Hold on. They're stuck in the phone loop. They can't get out. You know how many people? You know how many people are stuck in the cell phone loop that they can't get out? They're not going to tell you. No different than a car. You know how many people are upside down in their car? Oh, I finance a car every 3 years because, I like to keep those people. Do you know 99% of those people are lying to you? They're stuck. They can't get out because they have to buy their way out. And debt slaves have no money to buy themselves out. They're stuck. They don't even have money to buy a bucket, to buy a $2,000 Honda Accord or something to get out. That's the only way they're going to be able to get out. That's the only way. You got to be, say like this is you. I'm talking to you and don't worry, if this is you, you're not alone. I bet all your friends are upside down in the car. You guys just don't share that information amongst each other. You guys don't do that. Hey, so and so, I'm upside down in my car, man. You guys don't know. All you got to do is this. You got to accept that you cannot afford the car that you're in. It's just business, nothing personal. Save up a couple $1,000s. Especially with if you want to get out of debt, I'm gonna give you some information that the majority can't see. Okay. If you're stuck in the phone loop, first you got to admit to yourself, First, you got to admit to yourself, if this is you, that you are in the phone loop. Okay. How am I, let's stick with the car loop. How am I gonna get out of this? Now is your time. Now is your time. When student loan payments resume, people are going to be selling their cars. They're going to be selling cheap because they want to save their credit. But you want to get out of it. So what you're going to have to do, you got to let that car go. You got to let it get repossessed. You don't just not tell them and just ignore them. You call them. You say, hey, I'm not going to be paying on this car anymore. It's here at this address. The keys will be under the mat. That way, everybody's at ease. When the tow truck driver comes, he don't have to be scared that somebody's going to come out on him. He knows he don't have to pull out something. Because if you watch if you watch a lot of these car repossession videos, those tow truck drivers have their heads on a swivel because you don't know what a person's going to do about towing a car that they're not paying for. So what you're going to do is you're going to call them and tell them, I'm not paying on it no more. I can't afford it. They're going to try to convince you to keep it. You're going to say, no, I'm not paying on it. I'm telling you right now, mark it on your calendar, the day you called them and told them, whatever, right? And you say the keys are going to be under the mat. You just let me know, or you may not let me know. I don't want the car to get stolen. So it's all ready to go. The tow truck driver, it's in a perfect position for him or her to pick it up, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be shocked because people that don't pay on their cars, they don't do that. So you're going to be the non-normal person to do that. You're going to tell them I'm not paying on it no more. So there's no what you're going to do. You got another month. No, come get it. Or hey, hell, even if you want me to drop it off somewhere, and then you're going to take that $2,000 that you said first, buy the $2,000 car first. Wait till student loan payments resume, buy the car, call the bank and say, I'm not paying on this car no more. Let them come get it, resell it. If there's a balance on it that you owe, you pay it. You don't ignore it. Say like they take the car and you completely upside down in the car, and now they sell it because they're not going to get anything near what you owe them. Anything near what you owe them. So whenever that comes up, you're going to either pay it or something that counts on how deep you're in debt. It's going to count on if you have a job, whatever, right? If you don't have a job, I would be going to see a lawyer and say, how do I file bankruptcy? Chapter 7. That's what I would be doing. If Apple came out with their own brand of toilet paper, debt slaves would buy. They would, sure would. The payday loan loop. Yeah, the payday loan loop is all electronic now, which is a simple app on the phone. That's crazy. Is that you? Are you trapped in the phone loop? Car loan loop? Payday loan loop? Buy now, pay later loop? Is that you? If that's you, first you have to admit that that's you. That's the hard part. I'm stuck. That's the negative side of the economy. I need you to understand that. That's the negative side. You don't have to be there. You can come to the positive side, but you just got to get out. You got to get off the negative side, and you only can go through zero. Remember, they taught us all this in elementary school. Remember the number chart, 0 in the middle, positive numbers on the right in green, negative numbers on the left in red. Remember that? They all taught us this in elementary school. Zero's in the middle. There's an opposite to every single number except 0. Have you noticed that? There's no opposite to 0. Zero is the only number by itself out of all the numbers to infinity, both ways. You have to go through 0 to get to the positive side. You have to go through it. You can't, just because you don't mention it. If somebody says, hey, count to 10, and you start with 1, 2, 3, 4, then you go to 10, that's your problem. What about 0? Why do you start with 0? Do you know in IT, we always start with 0? Do you know that? We start with 0. 0 is always counted, always. You probably didn't. If you're not a computer engineer, you probably don't know that. But for some reason, you don't use it in money. When you count money, you forget about 0. And 0 is the most important number of them all. That it's telling you it is. There is no opposite to 0. That tells you it's the most important number. Zero equals freedom. That's what that means. There's no other number like it. The majority of you have never gotten to 0, ever. You guys think 0 is bad, or who wants to be 0? Everybody needs to be 0. You have to. That's according to the laws of mathematics. If you want to get to the positive side of the economy, you have to first go through 0. Debt slaves don't know that. When you come to the positive side of the economy, you got to also accept that the majority of what you see on the internet are debt slaves sharing information. You have to accept that. Then you got to figure out how to capitalize on that fact? That's going to be the hard part. How do you capitalize while at the same time keeping your integrity? Creating a business that you can pass down for generations. You got to model after the people that are doing it. That approve. Look, like I always like to go back to Chick-fil-A. I'm not a fast food person at all, but their fast food customer service is superior, along with their food. You see what happens when you combine the both? You're successful. They're like, hey, Chick-fil-A, they're missing all kind of money by being closed on Sunday. See, that's because you're looking at it wrong. They make so much money. Now, it might be religious reasons, but I'm just talking from a mathematical business standpoint. They make so much money, they don't really care. That tells you the business doesn't control them. They control Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A doesn't control the people that own it. That's the difference. You know how many debt slaves think, oh man, the only way to make it is to create a business. Then they create a business and then the business owns them. They created a job for themselves. You know how many people do that? I don't want to create a business and then be there all the time. I always hear this on the internet. Oh man, you work even more hours when you work your own business. I mean, it counts on what you're talking about. It counts on who are you talking about? A debt slave running a business? Because if you're talking about a person that has mortgage loans, car loans personally, and then they have business loans and all these other loans, you're talking about a debt slave who owns a business. No, excuse me, who's responsible for a business because the debt slave owns nothing. They don't own the business or their house. They don't even own themselves. So you got to be very careful when you hear people talking about, oh man, I work way more hours running my business. You got to say, oh, I got to make sure if you're not, is that a debt slave telling me that? The interviews, Caleb Hammer, are crazy when he talks to debt slaves. You know that guy? Yes, I do. I give it to Caleb, man. He has, this is what debt slaves don't see and why his channel is going to be so successful. Okay. This is why. Caleb, I don't believe he understands that capitalism is psychological and positive and negative, but I do know, I could tell, and just by the way he speaks, that he do know that it's bad to have personal debt. That is clear. He does know that. Okay. He by having no personal debt, he knows how to pick out the worst of the worst debt slaves for his show. Right? I don't know how he picks them. It's not really that difficult. All you got to do is stand on the street and just talk to some people walking by. Hey, you have debt. 99% of people have debt. And all you got to do is listen to the way they speak about their debt. Do they think it's normal to have a car payment? Do they think it's normal to have student loan debt for 10, 20 years, whatever, right? And then you bring those people on the show and then you embarrass them using their own words because they don't know what they're saying. He will have forever content because debt slaves are forever. They're forever. Without debt slaves, the economy wouldn't exist. There will always be people in student loan debt. There will always be debt slaves in car loan debt. There will always be debt slaves in mortgage debt, boat debt, motorcycle debt, a three-wheeler car debt. You know those little motorcycle / car things that are 3 wheels? Debt slaves finance those. Did you guys know that? Those slingshot things? Debt slaves finance those things. He will forever have content, forever. I mean, you guys. I mean, I can see his channel just blowing the fuck up, just blowing up because he will be able to embarrass debts. All you got to do is go to his channel. I don't watch his channel because I know he's not talking to me. All right, so I don't really. After a while, I get kind of bored. He's just embarrassing debt slaves, but he got people coming. He got debt slaves coming back on a second time to get it for a second dose of embarrassment. And these videos are forever. Imagine a debt slave going on Caleb's show, right? And then waking up 10 years later and then going back and watching himself on Caleb's show. That's forever. Now, don't get me wrong. It's nothing to be embarrassed about being a debt slave, okay? Because the majority of people are. I mean, the only reason why you guys don't see me as a debt slave because it wasn't recorded. I'm just telling you, that's how it works. That's the truth. He can bring someone to the show easily, 99%. Yeah, he's got all Caleb got to do is just walk out to the street and just ask simple questions. Hey, you got a car payment? Hey, you got student loan payment? And they're going to say yes because debt slaves believe it's normal to have student loan debt. They believe it's normal to have student loan debt and a mortgage at the same time. Student loan debt, car payments, TV payments. They make payments on TVs, juicers, laptops. You think, put it this way, you think debt slaves are paying cash for Apple products? I'm going to say that one more time. Do you believe debt slaves are paying cash for Apple products? You see people on these videos, these nice cameras. I mean, these guys are setting up their studios nice on these YouTube channels. You got to admit, they're financing that shit without even knowing if they're going to make money or not. They just, oh man, I got to be the best. The quality of my camera's got to be this and that. But if you ain't got no good content, who cares about your equipment? They finance that stuff in hopes. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. Hey, go for your dream, whatever, right? But first kind of get an idea if whatever you have planned for your business is going to make some money before you start going all out trying to be better than the next video person on YouTube when they're doing the same thing as you, finances, just because you guys will go to their channel, watch their they got that's a stage. That's a stage. So when you see that, you don't immediately think, oh, this person has money. That doesn't mean anything. 99% of the cameras that you are looking through to see that person are financed the wrong way. Because I'm not saying don't finance in business. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying don't finance in business if you don't own the business of yourself. If your whole life is financed personally, don't start financing in business because you obviously don't understand because you don't own yourself. You know how many debt slaves go into business? Oh, the big thing on the internet. Oh, business credit. You know why debt slaves talk about business credit? Because they fuck their own credit. They think they can. It's just so crazy how you guys think banks are just dumb. It's just so crazy. It's just bananas. You think you mess up your personal credit, right? You mess up your personal credit, and then you think you're going to go and get business credit. Are you crazy? The first thing when you go apply for business credit, guess what they're going to run? Your personal credit to see how you've been running the business of yourself. That's going to tell them if they're going to give you business credit, if they see how you've been running the business of yourself first. What's up, DS Shepherd? This information, very few of you guys will hear, understand. Even that's how it's supposed to be. Do you understand that? I've been on here 10 years now. 10 years. multiple transitions. It took me 10 years to get to capitalism is psychological, positive, and negative. It took me 10 years to get to here. I had to go through multiple phases. I have to go against 99% of debt slaves that live here in America. I had to go against of what they think and believe. You know how hard that was? I knew that was an uphill battle, but I wouldn't accept anything less. I want to be the top always in everything I do. I've always been like that. Jobs, sports, I was either the best or one of the best or part of the group of the best. There's always, it doesn't matter which sport, there's always a group of the best. I was always part of the group if I wasn't the number one. I wasn't always the number one person, but I was always part of the best group. Ever since a kid, you remember when you played sports games as in elementary school? I was always picked if I wasn't the captain. You know, I used to feel bad. Like as a kid, I used to feel bad for the few kids that were not picked at the end of everybody being picked. I felt bad for them, but I was never them because I made up my mind. I'm not going to be that. Now that I understand that capitalism is psychological, positive, and negative, you know how many people in the world know that? That seems very lonely. It does, but it's beautiful and profiting. It makes my value have no limit. You know how many people out there that make a lot of money that don't know capitalism is psychological, positive, and negative? They don't even know, and they make a lot of money. Are you that person right now? You make 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, and you don't know capitalism is positive, negative, and psychological. You don't know that? You're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. I'm telling you, huge. You want to be like the owners of Walmart, Amazon, Apple? You want to be like them? You better know that piece. You have to know. There is no other way. You have to know that. That's a requirement. You want to be an NFL team owner? You have to know that. You want to build electric cars and plan on going to Mars and digging tunnels under LA and driving cars and shit through it? You got to know that. When you look at when I look at Elon Musk, I don't look at wow, he's rich. I look at what he's doing. What he has done. You see, put it this way. You see how all those car manufacturers, everybody's coming out with electric cars. They already knew how to do it. I hope you don't think they just started because of Elon Musk. Oh, Elon's making electric cars. We better figure out how to make electric cars. They've been known how to make electric cars. Elon just forced their hand. They have to now. No different than the phones. Here, I'm gonna bring you to the positive side of the economy. You know what Elon's gonna when Tesla comes out with that phone, do you guys know what that means? You guys don't even know what that means. That changes the game just like he did the car market. Do you understand that? His phone you could use around the world. There are no restrictions. You could just pick up the phone and call anybody in the world. Always have you could be out in the country with no towers. It doesn't matter because his shit is in the space. He doesn't rely on any part of their infrastructure to use his phone system. It's his. Now they got two options. They either create their own, put up their own satellites, or join Elon and use his satellites that he already has up there. That's what T-Mobile did. They're like, fuck that. We ain't going out of business. Verizon and AT&T, they better be having satellites going up in the air. That's the only thing, unless they're going to join Elon. And I'm sure T-Mobile probably got that locked down in contract. We're the only ones. Hey, they probably was like, hey, Tesla, we'll pay you a crazy amount of money to join with you. But in our contract, probably for the first 10 years, nobody else can join your network. No other competitor of ours can join your network for the first 10 years. And we'll pay you this much money to make sure that happens. Now, if that's true, now this is just an assumption, okay? This is my opinion. If that's true, AT&T and Verizon, they have to get satellites in the air or else they're out of here. I don't care how Apple fans, how dedicated customers they are with their phones. If Elon comes out with a phone, which he is, not if, when, that can be used anywhere, hardly any dead spots, no matter where you're at, they're jumping ship. I have no idea. I'm sure Apple's a big company. There's no way they're not on this. There's no way. They have to have satellites in the air already. They have to. They are joining somebody or something because they know that's where it's going. No different than remember when long distance was a thing at the house? You pick up the phone, the home phone. You couldn't call the next city over, else it was a long distance. That's gone. Think about it. Long distance doesn't exist anymore. You could pick up the phone and call somebody in Mexico. Across the internet for free. You can video call somebody in another country for free. People don't even hardly use video chat. I don't want you to see me. It's not even, I remember back in the day, that was the shit, to be able to see the person you're talking to. Now people don't even want to do it. I don't want to do all that. Now here comes Elon with his phone, changing the game, just like he did with electric cars. He's about to do it with phones. I don't know what Apple's going to do. I have no idea what they're going to do. Because Apple, they're not a carrier. They're just a phone manufacturer, right? That relies on the local services. I guess when I think about it, I guess Apple would not necessarily be a competitor of T-Mobile. They would be actually an ally because T-Mobile sells Apple phones. So I don't think Apple has anything to worry about. Now I really, really think about it. They will just join forces with Tesla and T-Mobile because they're not a phone carrier. They just make phones. So they don't really have nothing to worry about. It's just AT&T and Verizon because they are carriers. Whew. I'll tell you. Boy, I know they are worried. But honestly, when I think about I don't know, this has just been happening lately. When I think about YouTube, right? I understand that the majority of the internet is our dead slaves. Okay. And when I see things on the social media, and it's crazy, news is passed through shorts now. It's just bananas, just how news is passed, right? It's just like news is more to me when I watch the news, it's just another thing of somebody doing something to dead slaves. It's just repetitive. What's gonna happen? What the economy? What are the feds gonna do with the interest rates? Then they got the rich Grant Cardone stories. It's like it gets boring. because it's a repetitive. I just have to figure out, like I said earlier, how do I reach the people like me wandering around in the debt matrix that know something's wrong, but they can't put the finger on how to get out? How do I reach those people? How do I reach the people that make 6-7 figures, that want to take their business, their personal life to the next level, but they just can't figure out why? How do I reach those people? That's through all the noise, because you got to remember, if 99% of the economy are debt slaves, that's a lot of noise to get through. Those people know, at least if you're a debt slave wandering around the debt slave, wondering how to get rich, wealthy, successful, and you don't, of course you're looking because you don't know how to do it, but you don't know what to listen to. There's a lot of noise to go through. And if you're looking on the internet, which 99% of people do, they're going to be coming back with debt slave information. What do you have to go by? How many subscribers a person has, how much money they make a year. That's why these people always start out with this. Like when money people come on, this is why they always say this. Oh, I run a Fortune 500 that makes $5 billion a year and this and that. I did this and that. So you guys believe whatever it's going to come out of their mouth after that. They know you're not going to take the time to verify anything that they're telling you. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. They know that, so they just say it. If you believe it, if they're dressed nice in a nice suit and a watch and their hair is cut all the time and they're looking nice, which is part of the role, you're going to believe it. You're going to believe it. And that's all they need. I be seeing these courses, $8,000 course, $10,000 courses. It's like bananas. What are they selling you? A dream? All they got to do is show you what you want to be or look like, where you want to go, what type of car you want to drive. All they got to do is show it to you. Act like they have it. Convince you. They already know you want it. That's why they're showing it to you. And then all they got to do is convince you how they get it, and then you follow it, and voila. When I look at multi-level marketing, right? They're like that whole. Now, don't get me wrong, it's legal because they're doing it, okay? But to me, it's like barely legal. Okay? Barely. All right? As long as they're doing one thing inside of it follows the law. Like if they're like this is what I see. This is just my opinion, okay? This is what makes it, in my opinion, this is what makes it legal. When you join an MLM, you always are required to purchase the product of the MLM, or else you don't get the proceeds from the blah, 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 from joining the family and the friends and blah, 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 right? Or if you don't keep adding people and paying your monthly, buying this product that you know you don't want, you just know you have to if you want to continue to, if you ever want to be a diamond or something, whatever they make up, right? As long as you are purchasing a product, it's legal because you're buying a product, right? You don't own, they always say, hey, you want to be your own business owner? You're not your own business owner. That has not, you don't own nothing. They own it, not you. You're just part of it. You are a business owner within their structure because that's what they're saying on paper. But you're not an actual business owner. You're just a business owner. That's a name within their structure. They all know you're going to do the same things because you guys don't know how to sell. You think you're going to come on and make a lot of money. The first people you're going to go to is your family and friends to sell them something that you really don't believe in because you're just there for the money. So you don't really believe in what they're selling. So you're going to contact your family and friends. Some of your family or friends are going to buy from you because they're family and friends, and then you're going to quit. Now they get to keep the people that you added on, and you're out of here. And then your family and friends are going to repeat the process, talk to their family and friends, quit, and so on. And so that's how it works. And the people at the top of the pyramid, they get rich. That's business. I remember being a debt slave. I got caught up in a couple of MLMs. One, I got caught up because the girl was cute. she started talking to me in the gym and saying, "Hey, I'm part of this and this and that." I was like, "Ooh, okay, let me try it out." Just, thinking wrong. Oh, man, they're all the same too. They're all the same. All of them the same, just different spin. But do you see how big those conventions are for those MLMs? Huge. And guess what all the people do that are part of it? All the debt slaves that are part of it. Record it, put it on, hey, everybody, and then share it on their, share the event on their personal social media pages, all for free. You know how much money they save on advertising from people with phones and shit? That's free money. You know how many people do that today? They will advertise their company's sale on their personal pages for free. Absolutely bananas. That's absolutely banana. I see it all the time. Hey, look, our company is doing this. They got a sale, and you're doing that for free on your personal page. Wow. Sometimes as a free guy now, I think back in my IT days when there was a mandatory on-call. Now that's just part of it. You just on-call means that 1 week out of every few months, you're responsible to receive calls for emergencies of systems downs and stuff like that. I understood that. That was just part of the job. When I signed up, I knew that. But I used to get calls when I wasn't on call in the middle of the night. They didn't say I was required to answer, but it was implied. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night, getting on these calls to fix whatever the problem was. And I remember feeling inside like something's wrong with this. Something's wrong. Something didn't feel right. I mean, I clearly knew I wasn't on call, right? But I felt like I was obligated to get on the call anyway. You know what was wrong? I wasn't getting paid for that. My company wasn't paying me to answer to get on a call when I wasn't on call. They wasn't paying me for that. That's what was wrong. You know what else was wrong? I was in debt. These are all subconscious things that you guys don't, subconscious psychological things, debt slaves, you guys don't know. You feel obligated to do work at home, in your car, after hours, because you're in debt. That's slavery. When you work for free, you're making yourself a slave. The job is not doing it, you're doing it. You're considering you making yourself a slave. That's what I was doing. I didn't know what the feeling was that I was feeling. I was causing myself to be a slave by working for free. When I think about it today, there is no reason why my phone should have been even my work phone. Listen, because I made the dumbass mistake of adding my work phone to my regular phone so I wouldn't have to carry a couple of phones. That was mistake number one. Joining work, giving my job my personal number. That was mistake number one. That was mistake. With my job, they always gave us phones. I should have kept it separate. This is how you guys contact me, with this number of this phone that you give me. So that way, when I'm not on call, I power it off and I leave that phone in the desk at work. There's no reason for me to bring it because they're not paying me for it. Because think about it. Think about it. I kept that phone with me all the time. My job called me anytime they want. So they were paying me 40 hours a week, but owning 24 hours of my life, 7 days a week. I was scared to leave my phone upstairs if I went downstairs, just in case if my job sent me an email or tried to call me because of a problem at work. That's what I did to myself. All because what? I was in debt. Car payments, too scared to lose the job, didn't want to look bad in the manager's eyes and all this other bullshit. So in other words, to be a team player means work for free. Oh, you're supposed to give your time? No, you don't. You don't have to do any of that. No, you don't. You don't have to volunteer for anything. If you're rich or you have a lot of money and you want to volunteer your time, then you can do it then. Yeah. But if you're in debt, you have student loan debt, you don't have no time to volunteer. If you're volunteering or you're doing some kind of intern or something, volunteering your time and you're in debt, you don't have any time to volunteer. Your time is owned already and you're paying interest on it. That's a hard pill to swallow. You can't volunteer your time if you don't own yourself. If you have car payments, you don't own yourself. If you're begging for student loan forgiveness, you don't own yourself. These videos right here, because I'm actually just, you know what, honestly, talking to debt slaves over and over again, it's getting boring. It's nothing really new to talk about on the mic anymore on YouTube. It's nothing really. It's the same old, just different time. Something pop up in the news. Hey, the banks are doing this and that. And if you're still in debt, don't worry about what the banks are doing and what bank is collapsing. That's none of your concern. If you're begging for student loan forgiveness, don't worry about what the Silicon Valley Bank is doing or what happened or why or what. That's none of your concern. If you're making car payments, don't worry about what that bank is doing. Banks are collapsing. I don't know what they got to do with you. If a bank collapses in another state from where you live, what's that got to do with you? You guys don't even have money in banks. The money is you. Your account at the bank is the money. You understand that? Your account is the money. It's not the money in the bank because you are the money. Hey, come down. 1 second. Just a second. Come to our bank and get free overdraft protection or whatever, right? And then you join the bank because they have free overdraft protection. If you're joining the bank because of free overdraft protection, that means you have no money. You are the money because you are the account there. Only debt slaves would join a bank because they offer overdraft protection for free. You worry if you utilize overdraft protection every single month, you're the money. It's you. They already know that though. They already know that. You're collapsing. Is that exactly, Enigma? It's you. When I look at banks closing or Silicon Valley Bank closing, maybe they wasn't following the rules. I don't know. When you join, when you have a, one second, let me put this mic up here. When you join a bank, now don't quote me on this because I don't really understand, but I will one day fully understand it. But they have to do a charter or something, charter bank, and then they got to pay certain things and have some type of interest. They have to, that maybe they wasn't doing it. And they kicked him out the game. I don't know. It's funny how debt slaves be talking about, hey, be your own bank. If you got, listen, if you got student loan debt, you are so far from being your own bank. I'll be seeing that on social media all the time. Be your own bank. Do like the banks. Those are programs, debt slaves. I got this guy right now that follows me on Facebook. Now, remember, I don't go to nobody's pages and say anything. If they say, if they're on their Facebook talking about they're selling houses and you get a great deal, come see me, come buy this car, I'll help you finance the car. But I don't go to the page and say, hey, you can't buy a house with a mortgage. You can't buy a car with a car. I don't disrupt their business. But they always come to my page and say, what you're doing is wrong, LJ. That's not true, even though I'm mathematically correct. And argue with me on my page. It's like, now don't get me wrong, I understand why they do that. Because they don't know capitalism is psychological and positive and negative. And anything that goes against the majority of people's the way they've been doing things, it's scary to them. Imagine somebody's been paying on a house for 15 years and they come across and hear me and talking about they don't own a house and they've been paying monthly payments on it for 15 years. You either going to be mad, because that's a scary thing. You got to have a strong mind to accept that you've owned nothing. You've been paying on for 15 years and you don't even own it. You have to have a strong brain, a mind to accept that. You mean all these renovations I've been doing? I took out a second mortgage to upgrade the basement or put in a man cave. Yep, you own nothing. You upgraded the bank's house with borrowed money based on the house that they own. Yes, that's true. You own nothing. A lot of people don't have the mental capability to accept that. Those people count too. They count the most. Debt slaves count the most than anybody. Debt slaves count the most. It's important. They must continue to ask the bank for permission to buy things. They can't buy nothing without the bank's permission. They get a new phone, car, house, refrigerator with a TV screen in it, go on vacation. Oh, I can't go on vacation without a credit card. You need to ask the bank's permission. That's how it's supposed to be. And it will, listen, it will always be that way. Always. Every video I make, listen, every video I make, will always be relevant no matter the year you hear it. As long as I don't mention dates and times, the debt slave won't know what year I made this video unless they can actually see it on the title of the video. Oh, he made this back in 2017 or something like that. Then they'll know. But if I make a video back in 2017 and I don't mention any specific dates and times and strictly just talk about debt slave, the person won't know when the video was made. They won't even know if I'm alive or dead. Why? Because it will always be this way, always. That's what I love about what I do. Find something, no different than I was talking about Caleb. I know you got, maybe you see it, maybe you don't, but Caleb's channel is going to be very successful because there are endless amounts of debt slaves, endless. That would be, honestly, that would be cool to team up with him. I'd be in the background though. I'd be like the hype man in the background or something. I wouldn't want to be the main person. I wouldn't want to be the main person of talking to debt slave because I don't have that kind of patience. I'd be in the hype man in the background. Oh man, that show would take off. Because his show is for, hey, listen, he knows how to run the show. It's good. And the key point is that he has endless amounts of debt slaves. It's endless. You go to a show, you look at the person, you're like, oh my God, they don't know that. They're so stupid or whatever, whatever. But what the answer is that it's a psychological thing. They don't know that there's like, if they knew, they wouldn't be on Caleb's show. Like if I was walking down the street, right? Caleb's looking for people for the show, and I happen to walk past him. He goes, "Hey, you got student loan debt?" I would say, "No," and then he'll move on to another one. What about car loan debt? Nope. You got a job? No. He'd be like, "Okay, you wouldn't be good for the show." No, I wouldn't be because I'm not a debt slave. But I'm 0.5% of the population. Okay. But I think it'd be funny if I joined the show. That would be hilarious, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'd be killing it back in the background. I ain't gonna lie. I'll let him answer the questions and then have him turn to me and say, "Hey, LJ, what do you think? What are your thoughts?" I'd be like, "Oh, okay." Can you give me the psychological perspective of what's going on? Sure can. Let's do it. What's up, October? You know what it is, October? This is what it really is, okay? Why it sounds that way, serious and funny at the same time. Because what I'm doing is so unheard of. It sounds funny, but it's mathematically true. You know, it's so fun. Like, you can't buy a house with a mortgage. You're like, what? You can't own equity in a mortgaged house. Huh? What you doing? What? People do it every day. Are you saying that out loud? Yeah. My friends and my family do it. See, that's where the funny part comes in because they can't. Hey, I bought this house. You mean financed it? Yeah, I mean finance. Yeah, then say finance. If you have a mortgage right now and you've been calling yourself a homeowner, stop. What's up, Nicer? Stop calling yourself a homeowner. This is what you do. When anybody asks you, are you a homeowner? You say, not yet. Doing that is more for you instead of them. Why? Because one day you're going to get tired of saying not yet, and then you're going to do something about it. You're either going to sell the house or you're going to pay it off. Do you know a paid off house is one of the best investments you could ever make in your life? Did you know that? You know why debt slaves always say, "Oh, don't do that. Don't pay off your house and this and that. You can take that money, invest in something else." First of all, if you have a mortgage, you have no money to do anything. You don't have any money to invest in any place else. They want you to be in debt like them. That's why they're saying that to you. If somebody's saying, instead of paying off your house, invest in this, you turn to them and say, "Do you have a mortgage?" If they say yes, that's why they're saying it to you, because they want you to have a mortgage like them. Think about it. Listen, think about it. If you paid your house off, you would never have rent or mortgage again for the rest of your life, ever. While millions of people believe rent and or mortgage is normal, you will know it's not. For the rest of your life, forever. You raise your children to understand this is how it works. And guess what? You pass the house to your children. They get to start out in life never having rent or mortgage, ever. Starting out. You know what kind of gift that is? Your child starts out knowing that rent and or mortgage is not normal. Imagine that. While the debt slaves, hey, you got to leave something for your children. You can't leave something that you didn't have the money to buy. What are you talking about, debt slave? You can't leave a house to your children that you didn't have the money to buy. You got to stop that. You got to stop saying things like that to yourself. Hold on, I'm moving this mic. That's for you. That's for you. Way before, Jesus. Way before. Banks collapsing. Is that you talking about banks? Are you watching channels and stuff talking about trying to find out the information of why the banks are collapsing? Is that you? Are you using buy now, pay later services? Is that you? Your bank is collapsing, the bank of yourself. If you're using buy now, pay later services, the bank of yourself has collapsed. If you're making 4 easy payments on a shirt that you don't even need, the bank of yourself has collapsed. That's a hard pill to swallow for sure. But like I said earlier, it's really, when I see stuff on the news, financially speaking, it's really nothing new. It's just different. I just have a seat in the stadium of the United States and I just watch. I'm just happy to have a seat. Because I was once on the field like debt slaves. I was watching you. I was out there trying to figure out my position and where to go and how to play. First, I didn't know the rules of the game. That's like leaving here from the United States. You know everything about football, and then you go to another country where soccer dominates. You think you're just going to suit up and go on the field and you don't know nothing about soccer? Soccer is bigger than football. They actually call it football. And it's bigger than NFL football. You think you're just gonna come on the field and start playing? You don't know the rules? No, you're not. I don't know. I don't know what any of those color flags mean. I don't know where the boundaries are. I don't know why certain people can do. I don't know the rules. If I came on the field, I suited up just like all the other players, right? I suit up and they're going to know immediately that I don't know how to play soccer immediately. Somebody take care of that for me, that Tinder chat thing, if you haven't already. That's why it's so easy to see debt slaves just do what they do, man. You guys don't even, the psychological part, you guys don't even know. It's just, you guys are just looking how to be rich, how to be wealthy. And you guys don't even know what's the difference, rich, wealthy. You guys be interchanging those words too. Rich, they're different words for a reason. When you hear somebody, a friend of yours, talk about rich, you got to turn to them and say, what is your definition of rich? Rich could be a bigger house down the street with a nicer car and a boat. But if they live in the same neighborhood as you, that means your definition of rich is different than mine. If you believe somebody that lives in the same neighborhood as you is rich, do you think you would live in the same neighborhood as the owner of the LA Lakers? No, you will know. You won't live nowhere near that person. What about the owner of an NFL team, the Dallas Cowboys? You think you're gonna live in the same neighborhood as that person? No, you're not. And you never will as long as you continue to be a debt slave. Those people, like the wealthy, you got to understand, they can see debt slaves coming from a mile away. It's not the way you're dressed. It's not the car you drive up to see them. You know, you can imagine a debt slave trying to impress the owner of a football team. A debt slave comes up dressed nice, go happens to go rent a nice car just to try to impress the rich person, right? Not understanding it ain't got nothing to do with that stuff. All they got to do is listen to way you talk about money. You don't know money is psychological. If you don't know that, you're in trouble. So as soon as you start talking about investing in money while being a debt slave, they're going to know right away because by the way you talk. You're going to be 100% defenseless because you don't know that money is psychological. You don't know that. You're going to come to the meeting, talk about you own things with loans and, oh yeah, I got all this and that, and I bought my house and this and that. You got a mortgage? Yeah, okay. They're just going to listen. If I was going into business with somebody, seeing your personal credit report is going to be a requirement. I'm going to say that one more time. If you decide to go into business with somebody, make seeing their personal credit report a requirement. That's a requirement. Why? You want to see how they've been treating the business of themselves. You don't go into business with somebody that mistreats the business of themselves. If they do that to themselves, what do you think? How do you think they're going to treat the business? The business, if you go into business, that's the business outside of themselves. If they treat themselves like shit, business wise, personally, how do you think they're going to treat the business? Worse. Sorry about that. Mic unplugged on me. They're going to treat it worse. If you own, listen, if you're successful, I'm gonna just sincerely say this to you. If you are successful, business-wise, personal-wise, and you don't know that capitalism is psychological, positive and negative, you're missing one of the final pieces to take you to the next level. There's very few people that know this, and I'm one of them. I'm one of those people that can, if you're ambitious enough to have taken your business to where it is today, whatever that is, it doesn't matter, whatever that is, and you don't know that capitalism is psychological, positive, and negative, you're missing one of the major pieces to the whole equation. Once you understand this, you'll understand the purpose of taxes. You'll realize taxes are your friend. They're not your enemy. They're your friends. Once you understand this, you do your taxes properly. The IRS will see that, obviously. Obviously, you're following all the rules to the T. How many people you think follow all the IRS rules to the T? Not many. You don't even, you probably think, well, LJ, how am I supposed to know how to follow all the IRS rules to the T? You go find a tax professional who is personally debt free. I'm going to say that one more time. You don't have to know about taxes, okay? Or how they work. All you got to do is hire a professional licensed tax person in your state. All these things are key. They must be licensed locally, federally, whatever the rules and the laws are to be a professional tax bloggity blah in your state. They must have all that along with being personally debt free. That's a requirement. If you're looking for a tax person in your state, you don't have to know about taxes. You go, what is the requirement to be a professional tax person in my state? Just look up the rules. Every state and city has the rules. Just go look. And then when you go look for a professional tax person, make sure they have all the required credentials that the state requires or the federally, whatever. If they don't, you don't use them. They're going to be shocked when you come in there saying some stuff like that. Hey, do you got the so-and-so license? Do you got this and that, whatever the requirements are? They're going to be like, whoa, shit. How did you even know to ask that? Because debt slaves don't know to ask those questions. If I go to a professional tax person and they don't have the proper stuff required by the state or the city, I'm not going to use them. I don't even have to see their credit report at that point. If they don't have the proper licensing, I don't need to see their credit report because I'm not going to use them. They're not licensed properly. The state and the federal, they can't do everything. You got to do your own due diligence. They can put the rules and the laws in place. They're clear for everybody to access. All you got to do is read them. You go see your financial tax person, whatever, and say, do you have these state license requirements, bloggity blah. That's all you got to say. If they don't, if they do, then you move to the next step. Can I see your personal credit report? The ones that, now listen, this is the very important part because most of you guys won't do it because you're nervous about it, even though it's your money. The majority of you guys would never ask a finance professional to see their personal credit report, even though they're messing with, even though you want to hire them to handle everything in your financial life. You're going to give all, listen, you guys give all your personal financial information to a finance person. Your whole entire financial life, they need to give it to me too, if they want me to hire them. I don't need to know about their whole life, but I do need to see their personal credit report. I do need to see that. I need to see how they've been financially treating the business of themselves. Because what if you went to go hire a professional tax person, but then you look at their personal credit report and they're in tax trouble? They're making payments on back old taxes, but they're about to help you with your taxes. No, you're not. You can't. You can't help me with my taxes. Why not? Because you haven't helped yourself. You owe the IRS money. And if you owe taxes, obviously you wasn't doing something right because you owe taxes. I remember I went into the tax office like last year. They had a line to where you can make payments on your taxes, your back taxes owed. There was a line. I was like, what the fuck? And they're charged interest. If that's you, if you're making payments on back owed taxes and you're making car payments, that's why you have back owed taxes, because you're making car payments. You're not only are you making interest payments on your car, you're making interest payments on the back taxes. You're paying interest. Now let me make sure this is clear so you can understand too. So some of you guys that hear me that are getting out of debt and you're getting ready to get to zero, and you're thinking, okay, I'm at zero now. What do I do? How do I start a business? Now, when you cross over from W-2, you finally you're going through zero. Now you're on the positive side. You're going from W-2 to 1099. You're going to make mistakes because you've never been there before. Because when you're a W-2 worker, your employer has always done all your tax stuff for you. Now it's on you. This is the best way to do it, this transition. Hire a professional who is personally debt-free to do this transition, because don't try to attempt to do it yourself. Hire a debt-free professional to organize all your IRS paperwork for you. Let them put it together, do it right, file it right, and then year after year, you will watch how they do it, and then maybe you'll just take it on yourself. It's a repetitive process. It's nothing complicated. When you cross over from W-2 to 1099 and you hire a professional tax people, accountants, and blah, 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 who are personally debt-free, the IRS are going to know that you're serious, because they can clearly see that you're crossing from W-2 to 1099. Because I'll use myself as an example. When I went from W-2 to 1099 and then I filed my taxes, the IRS put a stop on my payment, or I was going to get some money back, right? They put a stop on it. Why? Because I was doing something that I had never done before, crossing over from W-2 to 1099. So all my previous filings as a W-2 worker are the same each year. Boom, he works here, W-2, and then all of a sudden this year I'm doing 1099. Wait, that's different. They put a pause on it, so I had to call them up, do a video call with somebody at the IRS to make sure it was me doing what I was doing, because that's not normal. That wasn't my normal pattern. But I guarantee you they could see the way it was filed was done properly. It wasn't done scamish. But they did have to check to see if it was me. So I had to come up, hey, how much you getting back? What's your ID, passport, blah, blah, blah. Let me see your face, all this other stuff. Okay, cool. I get it. Totally understand it, whatever. I'm glad they're actually doing it. LJ, if you voluntarily repossess your car, is that better than letting come due to no known payment? No, listen, this is what I say, but for people that are in cars that they cannot afford, okay? First, you have to accept that you cannot afford this car. Once you really truly accept that to yourself, you let the car go. You call up the bank. You don't listen. Don't cost them any more money than what they've already invested in you. Call them up and say, "Hey, I'm not." And you once you accept that you cannot afford this car, it removes the feelings out of it. Worried about your credit score, what are the banks going to think, and this and that. You call them up and say, "Hey, I cannot afford this car." You're not lying to them, okay? You're not doing anything wrong. You cannot afford it. You just got to say it. I cannot afford this car no more, so I'm not going to be sending any more payments in it. How would you like to proceed to get in this car? They're going to try to convince you to keep it. They're going to do so. Hey, how about I take the payments, put it on the back end and do it? You just wait till they're done. And then you say, no, I'm not paying on it anymore. How would you like to proceed to get the car? Tell them I'm not going to hide it. Let them know the tow truck, like I said earlier, the tow truck driver has nothing to worry about. I'm going to give them the keys. They can drive it up on I'll drive it up on the flatbed for them, whatever. This is going to ruin your credit. You won't be able to get another. Don't worry about any of that. You just accept to yourself that you cannot afford this car. Understand that your car that you're going to pay cash for is going to be considerably different than the car you were driving, making payments on. You got to accept that. You got to accept that your friends are going to say, "Hey, what happened to your car? Why are you driving that?" Which you're going to have to ignore because all the people that are going to be talking about your used car that you bought in cash, they're going to be making payments. Only people that make payments talk about people with cars that make no payments. If that's you, if you have a older car, no payments, and you got a friend or a family member trying to talk about your car, ask them, are they making payments? You probably already know if they're making payments. If they're making payments, it doesn't matter what they think about you. You don't even listen, and this is what I'm learning too. You don't even respond to a debt slave when they say such thing because they don't know what they're saying. Because any type of conversation, you're going to fall into the category of trying to convince them of mathematics, which is only going to frustrate you. So you just don't listen. You just like whatever. Debt slaves, listen, when you come to the positive side, financial information from debt slaves is irrelevant to me. I don't even hear it. They don't know that they're on the negative side talking about the economy. Even though it's a bad economy right now, there's a positive and negative side on in a bad economy. You can be on the positive side of a bad economy. The choice is yours. I'm not on the negative side of this bad economy because I'm on the positive side because I'm choosing to be. And don't think you have to be saying, I'm saying, oh, I'm on the positive side, I'm rich and wealthy. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying I'm on the positive side of the economy. Now, if you're a truly wealthy or rich person and you're hearing me speaking, you know what I'm saying. I see many debt slaves are making payments for new car rims when I at the shop when I was for basic. Oh yeah, they finance rims. Yeah, debt slaves been financing rims for decades. They've been financing rims for a long time. Can you imagine making payments on the car and the rims and the stereo system? Debt slaves do that all the time. They think that's normal. Is that you? And you're listening to this? You listen to this video, and you're making car payments, rim payments, and stereo payments. When I put it this way, when I see, let's do car shows for example, okay? If you're a person who's in debt and you go to a car show, subconsciously thinking in your brain, you look at the cars and you're thinking, oh man, that must have cost a lot of money for the car, the way it looks, the way it's painted, look at the engine. The majority of those cars are financed. They financed everything you see. You're probably thinking, oh, they must have money to be able to put into this car. That's not true. The majority of those cars are financed. They finance the paint job, the engine, the transmission, getting the car restored. The majority of those people finance that. They're not rich. You see like I saw this truck the other day. It was a big ass dually F-350, dually on some rims, and it was jacked up and this and that. I don't immediately think that person's rich because they have that truck. I don't think I just see the truck and say, wow, nice truck. I appreciate nice cars, classic cars. I still appreciate it, but I don't think the person that owns it is rich or they have money or they have a good job. I don't think like that. I don't know if I don't know what that person did to obtain that truck. That truck might be their whole entire life. How many people you see nice cars that have apartments? You know how many people where their car payments match their rent payments? Their rent and their car payment are the same. That's absolutely bananas. Rent and car payment are the same. The majority of people with mortgages, their car payments are half their mortgage payments. So if somebody's out there making a $3,000 mortgage payment, they have a $1,500 car payment. You know how many debt slaves do that? To impress who? Other debt slaves. If you have two debt slaves with two nice cars and they're both making car payments, they're impressing each other. But they don't know that. They don't know the majority of people that impress other people's cars with car payments, they're impressing other debt slaves. That's it. That's it. We know on the positive side that you guys don't own shit. You guys don't own nothing. You are the car market. When I see these car reviews, oh, the new so-and-so is coming out with, it costs $100,000. You know why they're selling with, you know why that, like, I saw this, a new Dodge Demon something. This car is $100,000. You know why it's $100,000? Because that's what the bank said they would loan on for. That's what they said. The bank has to approve their price. They can't like say it like this. Say it like they said the car is $200,000 because that's what the car maker says. We feel our car is worth $200,000. If the bank doesn't agree, it doesn't care. It doesn't matter what the car manufacturer says because nobody can afford. The bank is not going to approve a loan to buy it, and debt slaves can't buy cars without the bank's approval. So the price of things. Listen, so you guys can understand. The price of things. Companies must ask the banks first. Hey, we're making a phone. We're going to charge $1,500 for it. Would you loan debt slaves $1,500 for a phone? If the bank says yes, that's the price of the phone. If the bank said, fuck no, we're only paying up to $800. Guess what? They're not selling the phone for $1,500. They're selling it for what? $800. That's how it works when you come to the positive side of the economy. Oh, Tesla dropped the price of their cars. You know why? Because the bank said we're not loaning that much money for your cars anymore. So you guys think Tesla's doing a favor. No, they have to do that. That's not a choice. They have to. Or else you're not selling cars because debt slaves can't buy cars. They don't know that. You can walk up to a debt slave into their face and say, hey, you know the only way to buy a car is in cash. They'll look at you, they'll give you the glitch of the debt matrix look. What? What are you talking about? Debt slaves, debt slaves compare car interest rates to each other. Hey, I got a better man. I got 5.9%. They compare interest rates to each other on finance cars. They make videos about the shit. You know that? Hey, look at the interest rate I got on my finance car. Are you bananas? You made a video about that. Talk about the great deal they got. There's hundreds, thousands of videos that people have made telling you about the interest rate that they got on their car. Calculate, oh, this is my gas savings. This is how much I pay for kilowatt hours. Do you know they're not, listen, they're not doing any of that. They're not saving no kilowatt hours, gas, nothing. It sounds fancy. Oh, I go to this, but man, look at that. I get 300 miles, 150 cents per kilowatt. Shut up, debt slave. It sounds so fancy. I get kilowatt hours of this and that. And they listen, debt slaves will pull up to a charging station in their financed electric car and pay for the charge with a credit card. And then tell you how much money they're saving per kilowatt hour while they sit there in the same spot for 45 fucking minutes to charge it. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of remember the old charging of the phones before fast charging came along? Remember that? You plug your phone up, that it would take you 2 hours to charge your phone. Would anybody tolerate that today? Would you go back to the old way of charging your phone where it took hours? Hell no. That's what electric cars are today. And they call it fast charging. Now, Tesla got it down. Don't get me wrong. Tesla got it down, but you're still waiting. People that understand, like check this out. If I bought a Tesla, I would buy it in cash and I would have a supercharger at home. So that way I'm not wasting any of my personal time sitting in the car. Can you imagine sitting at I always like when I go by the mall where I live, I go by the mall and I'll see a whole bunch of Teslas parked and I just drive by and look at the people sitting in the car. You can't do nothing about it but sit there for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. You would, like, if you sat there and waited for a full charge, 9 times out of 10, people are not sitting there for a full charge, right? Just enough charge to do it, to repeat the process, because the majority of people that own Teslas, they don't have superchargers at home. You have a regular charge, it takes like days. No. Big ass Hummer Charger I saw the other day, charging a big ass Hummer. What's the purpose of that thing? There's no purpose for that. Just because it's electric. Anyway, it's time for me to get off here. You guys got any questions? I'm gonna just tell you right now that for as far as public side videos, I'm probably not gonna be making any more for the private, for the members only. I'm gonna continue to make more member only videos. But as far as public videos, I really ain't got too much more to say to debt slaves anymore. It's really pointless. It's like the same old, same old. Hey, what are they doing to you this month? Or what's going to happen with student loan? What happens when this interest rates go up? The housing market's the same old shit over and over and over again. Abusing debt slaves, financially speaking. Abusing yourself. Abusing yourself. Bananas. Anyway, if there are no questions, even though I know there's a lot of people I don't know if I intimidate people or they just don't know, or they just nervous about me or whatever. I don't know, but this, you got to remember, it's only a matter of time before SMD myself blows up. You probably follow me, and you're gonna probably say to yourself, man, I wish I could have talked to him back then when it was free. Now I can't even get a hold of him. Though there's going to be many more S&D counselors, I always say this, in the future, there's going to be many more people like me because they're part of S&D. Different ages, man, woman, black, white, it don't matter. Whatever makes you comfortable, there will be a SMD member that help you be comfortable, whatever that's going to make you feel comfortable. There's going to be a person, say like there's a person that's gay, that's an SMD family member, and you're a gay debt slave. We're gonna hook you up with a gay person so you guys can have the same talks, or because people feel comfortable with like people because it has nothing to do with you being gay. And the person who is a gay person that's an SMD family member is going to tell the gay debt slave that it has nothing to do with being gay. You understand? So you guys understand, got nothing to do with that. Math doesn't care about any of that. Oh, women this, women that, has nothing to do with being man or woman. Math doesn't care if you're a man or a woman. Math doesn't care if you're a single woman with 4 children. Math doesn't care. It just says I'm math. October says, I'm in my final 6 months of working a job before I start working for myself. Any quick advice? First of all, congratulations. So if you're saying that, I'm assuming that you got your money stacked. And I'm gonna give you a SMD perspective, okay? And this is what I'm only gonna give you advice from my experience, okay? And this is what I say. This is what I did. When I got, and this wasn't on purpose, it just happened to be this way, okay? I didn't plan this. I didn't work a job for a year when I quit my job, okay? This is the purpose. It was a deprogramming of the 40-hour work week. You have to get unprogrammed, and it took me a year to accept that weekends are not special, Saturday and Sunday are not special than Monday. You got a deprogram of holidays off. Those are all programs to make it seem like those days are special when they're not. They're not special days. Debt slaves think they're special because they have a day off of work. That's the only reason why people like holidays, because they don't have to work. When you're debt free and you don't need a job, holidays are not special. They're just holidays. That's a deprogramming. That took me a year to break that. 40-hour work week is a program. The holidays, you just gotta be with yourself, because you gotta accept your new perspective of the world. That's and during that time, you start thinking about, what am I going to do in the business of myself? What am I going to do? How am I going to utilize debt slaves? That's your main goal, because your business cannot exist without debt slaves. So you have to figure out how you are going to utilize debt slaves. Like, for example, have you noticed that all the businesses, Amazon, Apple, all of Nike, they all have buy now, you can make payments on the stuff that you purchase from their websites. You know why? They have to do that. If they didn't partner with buy now, pay later services, businesses, that would hurt their business, because debt slaves cannot afford to buy their product if they don't make payments on it at this particular time in the economy. So you have to utilize debt slaves. They have to do that. Those big businesses like Nike and Apple and stuff like that, they know, well, Apple didn't do it. Apple created their own buy now, pay later services. They're like, fuck that. We're not paying you nothing. We'll create our own. We know we have to do it, but we'll do it ourselves. We'll do it in-house. They know that's going to come to an end. Okay. Soon as student loan payments resume, those businesses are out of here. They're out of here. I got $4,000 and I live check to check. Should I pay the whole 3,600 credit card bill or and have 400? This is what I want you to do, Stevo. Okay. Because what you let me and I want you just to listen to me mathematically. Do not allow your feelings to interject what I'm about to tell you or show you. Excuse me. I'm not even going to tell you anything. I'm going to show you something. Okay. Open up your calculator. Okay. Open up the calculator. Put in 4,000 minus 3,600 and hit equal. That's how much money you have today, right now. Without even paying off the 3,600, you need to understand that you have $400 right now. If you don't pay off the 3,600, you're going to have less than $400 as you have $400 today because of the interest on the credit card. It's not a choice to pay off your credit card. You have to pay it off. There is no should I pay it off, because you really don't have $4,000 in your bank account. You have 400. If you open up the calculator, put those numbers in, the calculator says, Stevo, you have $400 in your savings account. This is what I call the glitch in the debt matrix, Stevo. Either you're going to believe the calculator in front of you, that's never, ever, 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 ever wrong, or you're going to believe that you have $4,000 in your bank account. This is how you're going to cross over. Are you going to believe the calculator? Or are you going to believe the digital numbers on your bank app or whatever you're using to see the $4,000 in your bank account? Those are digital numbers. The calculator says, Stevo, I'm the voice of your calculator. Okay, pretend I'm the voice of your calculator. Stevo, listen to me. Your calculator's not laughing. That's me. Don't worry about that part. Stevo, listen to me. You don't have $400 anywhere. Excuse me. You don't have $4,000 anywhere, Stevo. You have $400. You keep adding a zero, and I'm showing you that zero doesn't exist. You have $400. I don't know what app you're logging into. I don't know what bank. I'm still a calculator. I don't know what bank account you're talking about, but you don't have $4,000 anywhere. You have $400. Now, Stevo, you either believe the calculator or you don't. Totally up to you. But if you don't believe the calculator, you're not going to have $400 next month. You're going to have $350 or something. Whatever the credit card payment is with the interest, you're going to have less. That makes sense to you? And the way you're saying it, that sounds like that's your last debt. Put it this way, Stevo. You are $3,600 away from owning yourself. $3,600. You're free. Stevo owns Stevo. Your name will be valid. Stevo owns Stevo. Debt slaves don't know that they don't own themselves. They don't even know. They walk around, think they're free, thinking they're free to do anything, buy anything. No, they can't. If you go to the store and the only way for you to purchase gas or food or whatever to purchase it with a credit card, you pull out a credit card, you're asking the bank permission to buy your stuff. You're asking the bank to buy your gas. You're asking the bank's permission to buy your food. Like when you have food delivered to your house and you pull out a credit card to pay it, or you use on an app, they're using a credit. You're asking the bank to buy your food, your fast food, to be delivered to your house with interest. You're paying interest on fast food. Can you imagine? Like, say like your credit card is 26. No, let's not go too crazy. Let's go 25% interest, right? You're paying 25% interest on a hamburger. On some fries. You're paying 25% interest on some fries. That's how you got to look at it, man. That's how you got to look at it. You're paying interest on some fries? So like you spend $100 on some fast food to be delivered to your house, but when the credit card bill comes, you pay the minimum payment of $50. You just paid 25% interest on some fast food. You're going to be a debt slave forever. Now you come to the positive side of the economy and create a successful business built around the debt slaves using credit cards to buy your product. You're going to be rich. Prices are dictated by the bank. What is the bank willing to finance your how much is the bank willing to finance your product? Debt slaves, you think debt slaves can pay cash for for iPhones? You think debt slaves can pay cash for iPhones? No. They can't. Debt slaves can't pay cash for iPhones. Are you crazy? They got to finance them. So they got to ask the bank. Apple got to go to the bank and say, hey, bank, how much are you willing to finance our phones for? The bank says, $1,500 is our max. Okay, that's the price, $1,500. Apple can't wake up and say, hey, we're going to charge $5,000 for our phones. The bank will say, well, we're not financing your phone for $5,000. Okay, we're not. Guess what? The debt slaves wouldn't be able to buy, they wouldn't be able to get iPhones because they cost $5,000. That decision is up to the bank. Now, Steve, I want you to listen to yourself, okay? This is important, okay? Only listen to me mathematically, no feelings. I want you to read your statement. It makes sense. I just hate to spend it at once. You know why you said that line? Because you think you have $4,000 in your bank account. That's why you're saying that. I want you to, these are important things to say to yourself. I hate to spend it at once. Spend what? You only have $400. What are you talking about? You don't have $4,000 in your account, Steve. That's what you got to realize. You don't have $4,000. Spend what at once? There's nothing there but $400. The credit card company doesn't want you to pay that $3,600 off, because if you pay it off, they make no money. There's nothing to charge interest on because you're not borrowing anything from them. And listen to you say this too to Stevo. You are $3,600 away from owning Stevo. You just hate to. I just hate to own myself. Man, I just hate to listen. That's what you're really saying. I just hate to own myself. I don't want to own me. I want the bank to continue to own me. I just hate to do it. That's a program, Stevo. It's real. Sure is, Gabriel. It's real, baby. Real. I love it. I have 100% respect for this system. Millions of people believe they're homeowners with mortgages. Millions. It's like when you hear a person, listen, when you hear a debt slave talk about real estate's the only way to go. That's how you got to get rich and this and that. And then all you got to do is Google and say, how much real estate debt is there? It's in the trillions. That means that person that's telling you that's not true. How do you know that? There's trillions of dollars in mortgage debt. That's how I know that's not true. People with mortgages don't own anything. So the way they're talking about it, that's not true. Hey, I got a good interest rate on my credit card. There's trillions of dollars in car loan debt. That's not true. You didn't get a good deal. Nobody gets a good deal on a finance car. You're one debt away from freedom, Stevo. And you're nervous to do it. That's but I'm not saying anything negative towards you, Stevo. I'm just telling you that's part of the program, to be nervous to be free. The only bank crisis is the debt slave alone. Exactly. When a bank collapsed, debt slaves, when you see when you walk past a bank, right? And you see a big safe, you are in the safe, debt slave. That's where your accounts are kept, in there. It's you. You're in the safe, debt slaves. You don't need to, you see all these movies and they break into a safe, sophisticated, go through the ground and bust through the ground and get through the safe and steal the pallet boards of money. There's no pallet boards of money in the bank. Who told you that? Movies? Those are movies, debt slave. You're the money. The value are the accounts which you're part of. When scammers, it's like this. Banks have trillions of dollars, trillions. Okay, trillions. And then you see these scammers come up with covering the ATMs with credit card skimmers and stuff. The banks have enough money to prevent that. They do. They can stop that. How do I know that? Because the protection of accounts. Have you ever heard on the news where a hacker hacks into the databases of the credit where they house everybody's debts and how much they owe and student loan debt? Have you heard anybody ever hacking in there and scrambling that up? And no, never, and you never will. You never hear that on. Hey, somebody hacked into the all the credit bureaus and scrambled made it all zero. You think that will ever happen? No, never. If they can protect that, they can stop a simple a credit card scammer, schemer, or whatever. Because listen, this is what you got. This is what you guys got to understand. Okay, debt slaves don't know the money is them. Okay, so when you have a person risking the time in their life for a federal crime for money that doesn't exist, says they are a debt slave because they're risking something more valuable for something less valuable. If you're risking the time in your life for a federal crime to get money that doesn't exist, you're a debt slave. PPP scammers, those are federal crimes. Why are you doing a federal crime? For the money. Money that doesn't exist. You sell, what you don't know is this. If you commit PPP fraud, which is a federal crime, you are selling yourself. You just sold yourself for the amount of money you stole in PPP loans, right? So say you stole $20,000 in PPP money. You have just sold yourself to the government by stealing the money. For money that doesn't even exist. When you steal PPP money, that money really doesn't exist. Imagine this. And they don't really talk about this on the news, right? Because they leave it up to the debt slave to assume. Do you know there are people that are in trouble now for trying to steal the money that didn't actually get the PPP money? That should tell you it has nothing to do with the money. For even trying, say there was somebody that stole $20,000 that actually got it, but then you You were a person that was trying to steal $20,000, but you didn't actually get the money. You still go to jail. You just sold yourself for them. And if you're a person that has stole PPP money and you haven't been, it's just a matter of time. They got 10 years to look for you. 10. What kind of sleep are you going to be getting knowing that you're just waiting for a letter or a knock at the door, somebody to show up at your job? Hey, how you doing? Yeah, we're the IRS. We're coming. You're coming with us. What are you talking about? You remember that PPP money that you stole back in 5 years ago? Yeah, you got to pay for that. Now you're a felon, restitution. Now you can't get the job that you had before. You got the now you're tagged a felon. Now you're limited on what type of job you can get. You owe back the $20,000 plus interest, penalties and fees, lawyer fees, whatever they stack on top of. You're never getting out of that. You just sold yourself. Most of the people that steal money, what are they spending on? Rims, cars, stupid shit. Sold their freedom. Is that you? You just wait. Are you nervous about that tap or that letter in the mail? Imagine you you committed PPP fraud a couple years ago. You spent all the money. You off that kick. You got a job. You got a new girlfriend. You ain't told her about that you stole the PPP money. That's irrelevant because you didn't get caught. So why tell her, right? Why tell her? She, maybe you meet a woman and you don't have a record at that time. You're not a felon or anything, right? And you meet a girl and she don't know, you didn't tell her you stole PPP money. And then next thing you know, you guys started life together. You're living happily ever after. Then all of a sudden you're at home. You guys hear a knock at the door. Boom, boom. Who is it? It's the IRS, federal government, whatever. I don't know. I don't know who they assign. I'm just saying the main names that scare you. Yes. Hey, are you so and so, so and so? Yes. Yeah, we already do that. That's why we're knocking at the door. That's why we're knocking at the door. We just follow your social security number. We already know where you're at. I just want to see if you're gonna lie. Anyway, you owe us money. What are you talking about? Your girlfriend pops up. What are they doing here? Why are they talking to us? Well, you want us to talk in front of your girlfriend or not? 5 years ago, your boyfriend stole money from the government. She gonna look at you like, what? You never told me about that. Of course you didn't tell her about it because you thought you got away with it. That relationship's gonna change because now you're gonna be a convicted felon that lied to your girlfriend. She's out of there. Now you're limited. Now you're a felon, you owe money, you owe restitution. Now you're limited what type of women you're going to date, where you're going to be able to work, all because of yourself. Not saying that you can't get out of it. You can learn from it. The only way you're going to get out of it, now you got to now you have to create your own business. You have to. What's up, Aaron? Aaron says, including those that own real estate in their business name, it's still the trillions. All of that counts, all of them. Companies like Nike use celebrities, athletes, rappers promote their product. For example, the music video by Nelly, Air Force One. Exactly. Now, it's hard for me to tell because the majority of people that do that advertise for companies for free. Make a song out of Air Force Ones. Now, do I like, and this is just my belief, okay? If I was Gucci, Louis Vuitton, I would say to a popular person, I would say, hey, I want you to wear our stuff and we'll give you the stuff for free, but you're not allowed to tell I'll write up a contract, but you're not allowed to tell the people that you and I are working together. I just said that would be in the contract. You can't tell them that we're giving you stuff for free. We just want you to wear it and we'll pay you. We'll pay you to wear our stuff. and we'll give it to you, but you can't tell them that we have a contract. And then I'll just let them wear it everywhere, and people would wear my stuff for free and advertise for me for free. People advertise for Gucci for free. Get online, tell the whole world, oh, look at my Gucci shirt and this and that. Thank you. I teach people how to be Gucci. You want to be like Gucci, Nike. You want to be like that, where people advertise your shit for free and brag about it and brag about the prices they pay for your product. That's what you want. No different than the NFL. NFL will take a plain shirt with a number on it, right? If you get a football like looking jersey with no NFL, no name, you could probably pick that jersey up for like $20. So like you picked up a football jersey that looks like the Dallas Cowboys, but no stars, no names, just a number, because that's legal. You can do that. It's not, as long as they got no NFL stuff on it, right? That jersey is going to be $20. But if you want an NFL logo and a player's name on it, it jumps it up to over $150. That's what you want. That's where you want to be. You look at a player and say, oh man, they signed a deal with Pepsi for some crazy amount of millions of dollars. Okay. When you're a debt slave, this is how you look at it. You notice like all players' salaries and deals are public knowledge. They just put it all out in the fucking public, right? But the owners, you don't see none of that. The public make that. Now, so if you see a player get a crazy deal with Nike or Pepsi, imagine the deals that Pepsi and Nike are making with the owners of the team. So if you see a player say like a player got a deal, I don't know, maybe you guys know some big deals with the players make with Nike, right? Think of the biggest Nike deal a player has. Now imagine the deal Nike has made with the owner of the team. It's probably quadruple that money, probably quadruple. You don't even those kind of deals. You don't even look at money the same anymore. Because you have too much to spend, so you don't even look at it that way. You just got to keep track of it digitally. I just saw what Malika said. You're right. He will be gone from that moment. You lied. Now you're a federal. Now you're a convicted felon. Goodbye. Can you imagine? I couldn't imagine that. Couldn't imagine. Stevo, honestly, if it was me, I would take a hit and pay it and celebrate a small weight off your shoulder. It's like, even when you say that, take a hit. I want you guys to understand and what zero really means. You're free. You own yourself. That's not even a hit. I'm not getting on you, DS, but I'm just saying in general. I want you guys to listen with the words you guys use when you speak about being free. I want people to understand the significance of zero, what it means to be zero. You own you. Zero means you are financially ahead of 99% of the people in America by getting to zero. Now, you don't think so because the people in debt have nice houses and cars and jobs. You think that has something to do with anything. No, they're debt slaves. They don't know they're debt slaves. You don't have to be like them. Who cares what they have? Well, they think they have. And reality TV shows are really fucking you guys' minds up. Those are debt slaves. They just have more money than you. That's all. They're still debt slaves. When you listen to reality TV shows, all you got to do is listen. They talk about mortgages, car payments. You got to ask yourself, if you have so much money, why are you making car payments? Listen to reality TV shows differently. When you watch a reality TV show, everybody looks like they're rich. They always show them pulling up in a nice car, hopping out, going into their friend's big house. Those are payments. Those are deals with car manufacturers. Hey, drive our car, because it doesn't matter what they drive up in, you guys are going to believe they own it, regardless if they're a famous person and they drive up in a fancy car. You're going to automatically think it's theirs because they're famous and they can afford it. That's what you believe in your brain, in your mind. But if they're making payments, they're just like you. Their payments are more expensive than yours because they got they financed a more expensive car, but you guys are the same. You're making payments. All right, you guys, it's been 3 hours. I'm out of here. Just to let you know, it ain't gonna be, like I said before, it's probably not gonna be a long public video for a long time. Because it's really starting to be, honestly, it's starting to be pointless. It really is. It's starting to be pointless. For the members only, I'm gonna continue to do it. For the public, I said this before, but it's like, what else can I say? What else can I do? Nothing. I'm gonna let these public videos do what their purpose is, do their work, because they're gonna be here forever. At least as long as YouTube's around. The next time you guys see me publicly will be on somebody's channel, invited, whatever. You guys will see me there. I'll still be in public channels that people invite me to, but my own, I can't really say too much more to Debt Slaves. What else can I say? It's time for me just to share my journey for the S&D family members that are on their journey, that are getting to zero, just got to zero. What do I do now? They need my help more than anything because I don't have to convince them. They already know. It's time for me to help them along their journey because there's really nobody else they can ask once they get to zero. Once you get to zero, there's no video to look up, hey, what do I do after reaching zero? There are no such videos. They don't exist. Except here, of course. It's time to, what'd you say, Gabriel? It's time to troll like that does Debt Slaves. And you talking about Caleb? It's time to troll like that guy does. If you're talking about Caleb, Gabriel, I can't do what he does. I can't do that. That's a lot of energy for me. That's just too much energy. I mean, he's got a great idea. I've watched him a couple times, but I can't really take it because it's just horrible to me. I mean, not that he's doing anything wrong. I'm just saying I just couldn't do it. He's just torturing Debt Slaves, he's built, I think he's up to like 400,000 people already. I believe so. I don't know. But that's pretty quick. And his content is endless. Because Debt Slaves are here forever. His channel is going to blow up because he's good at exploitation of debt slaves. I mean, the things some of those debt slaves say on that show, I'd be like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. I don't know. Am I supposed to do that? Is that bad? I mean, oh my God, this would be horrible. And he's, he makes the camera come in and out. He's rubbing his head. Oh my God, I can't, slapping his pen down. It's like, that's all for show for you guys. That's not a shocker that those people are saying that. It's not. It's just good for TV. Oh my God, look at his face. You know how you guys always look at my facial expressions? That's what everybody's going to Caleb's show for, to see his expressions created from the things that debt slaves say. They say things. They don't know why Caleb's making. You guys got to understand. Debt slaves on his show do not know why he's making the faces that he's making after they say something. That's what you guys misunderstand. They don't know that. They're like, why is he doing that? Why is he upset? Why is he rubbing his head? They don't know. It is October. Excellent business model. And if you ever hear this, congratulations to you, sir. Congratulations to the exploitation of debt slaves. Congratulations. I wish him much success. Much success. Much success. I personally could not do that. I just can't. I don't mind coming on the mic right here talking about debt slaves, but to actually bring them in and interview them and make a video and cut it up and this and that, I'm not doing any of that. None of that. Debt slaves, the economy, put it this way, you guys. Debt slaves, what you got to understand, Caleb has built a business around the exploitation of debt slaves. That's called business. Dave Ramsey does it. Elon Musk does it. All the carriers do it. If you are financing a cell phone, that's exploitation of debt slaves. Only debt slaves finance phones. Only debt slaves finance cars. Only debt slaves finance houses and believe they're homeowners. Personally, only debt slaves will finance a house personally and call themselves homeowners and call themselves a homeowner. Okay, that's just how it works. When you see a debt slave come across your timeline on your social media with a paper key in their hand talking about their homeowner, that's exactly what they own, a paper key. Debt slaves don't know why they're taking a picture with a paper key. That's their ownership into the house, that paper key. That's what they bought. That's what they financed, a paper key. They just be smiling big. Look, they do the same thing with cars at car dealerships. Hey, look what I just tied myself to for the next 84 months. And they take a picture with it. They're taking a picture with the thing that's going to keep them at their job for the next 5 years and taking bullshit from their boss because of that car they took a picture with. Thank you, debt slave. Thank you. So when you walk into a dealership and you see all these people with a whole wall of people taking pictures with cars, that's how many debt slaves they sold cars to. Look how many, look at that's all, and they want to add your picture to it. They want to add your picture to the wall of debt slaves in their dealership. It's just business. Hey, whatever. You want your picture up there? Okay, cool. Take a picture with it. It's true, Malika. When I go across my timeline, then I'm getting out of here for real. I go across my timeline and I see a young person. Hey, look what I just did. And they're holding a paper key. I said, welcome to the debt matrix, debt slave. You're young, fresh. Young, fresh debt slave with a paper key they just purchased for $350,000. Owning absolutely nothing but the paper key. And then they go out, finance new furniture, finance a car to match the house, etc., etc. It's beautiful. I ain't gonna lie, it's beautiful. For the SMD family members out of, so you guys can understand, you free yourself. You create a business just like Caleb is doing, create around the exploitation of debt slaves. That's how it works, financially speaking, legally. You come to the positive side of the economy, you don't do anything financially illegal. You don't do any of that. Because once you come to the positive side, you know everything is debt slave. So anything you're cheating on your taxes or tax evasion, you're cheating yourself. The word cheat should tell you that you're cheating for a reason. You don't understand the rules. That's why you're cheating. All right. Until next time, everybody. Enjoy your rest of your weekend, your Saturday. I sure will. Till next time. See you later.